Tabiso Goba reports.
When the news of Tato Molosanko's killing broke, the community of Lumanyaneng gathered around his home in disbelief. His family says this was both overwhelming and heartening to know just how many people cared about him. Family friend Tabang Tikane says Molosanko's activism didn't stop at just exposing governance failures in Mahikeng, but he was also a humanitarian who donated both his time and resources to people less fortunate than him.
Donating shoes to schools, food, soup kitchen, assisting the elderly.
Community member Azania Boysons says Molosanko will be remembered for his fearless activism. Tabiso Goba, Eyewitness News, Northwest.
The man accused of killing Madlanga Commission witness Marius van der Merwe is expected to return to the Brakpan Magistrates Court to continue with his quest for bail. Matipandile Soteni was arrested in connection with shooting van der Merwe in December last year. Van der Merwe was attacked weeks after he testified about an alleged cover-up of a murder involving Metro cops on the East Rand. Dimakatso Lishuro reports.
During day one of his bail application, former elite shooter and Special Task Force member Matipandile Soteni told the court it was not him that shot Marius van der Merwe, but says Viandre Pretoria, 36 SAP as reservist, who died by suicide in February, allegedly wanted him dead. Further stating he asked Soteni to help with a problem he had, but he didn't know what type of problem Pretorius needed help with. Soteni insists he was not involved in the murder. However, his version was challenged by the investigating officer. He faces Schedule 6 offences, including 3 counts of attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder and murder, meaning he has to prove to the court exceptional circumstances that show it's in the best interest of justice to be admitted to bail. Dimakatso Leshoro, Eyewitness News.
The EFF and Finance Minister Inoko Dongwana have again locked horns in the Western Cape High Court as the Red Berets fight to have the fuel levy increase set aside. The EFF yesterday argued that sections of the Customs and Excise Act are wrong in allowing the Finance Minister the authority to amend or increase the fuel levy unilaterally. But the parties will have to wait a bit longer after judgment in the case was reserved. Babalondenza reports.
The EFF has continued its fight to curb the Finance Minister's powers when it comes to increasing the fuel levy after its failed urgent interdict. Mfesana Gasboto, representing the EFF, submitted that the fuel levy increase announced by Minister Inoko Kodongwana during his February budget was to make up for the failed VAT increase last year. He says the increase should have gone through Parliament, like all money bills.
A money bill, or rather a bill is a money bill if, sub C, it abolishes, reduces or grants exemptions from any national taxes, levies, duties or surcharges, which is the whole construct of this notice of the minister.
But Camille Premed, representing Kodongwana, says the levy is not a tax and the minister is empowered to change it.
Because the minister is not inventing a new tax, he's simply exercising his 48.1 and 48.2 power to change the levy, which he's entitled to do.
Premed says going through Parliament would also take months or even a year to finalize. Babalondenza, Eyewitness News, Western Cape High Court.
And America has charged former Cuban leader Raul Castro with conspiracy to kill U.S. nationals and other crimes over the 1996 downing of 2 planes between Cuba and Florida. Washington accuses Castro and 5 others in the shooting down of the aircraft belonging to Cuban exile group in America, Brothers to the Rescue, and then killing 4 people, including 3 Americans. Castro was then head of the country's armed forces and faced international condemnation over the crash. As the U.S. seeks to exert increasing pressure on Cuba's government, current President Miguel Diaz-Canel has called the charges as a political maneuver devoid of any legal foundation. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche announced the charges a few hours ago.
The indictment was returned by a grand jury sitting in this district in Miami on April 23rd, 2026, and was unsealed today. For nearly 30 years, the families of 4 murdered Americans have waited for justice.
Gold's trading at $4,543.79 an ounce. The rand is at 16.47 to the dollar, 22.13 to the pound, 19.16 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $105.74 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got faulty traffic lights in Kyalami at the R55 and Colonel Worth. There's also queuing traffic reported on the N3 South. This is in the Edenville area between Waterfontein Road and Linksfield Road. This is due to roadworks.
And in your sport, Aston Villa beat Freiburg 3-0 to be crowned Europa League champions for the first time in 44 years. Southampton's appeal to be reinstated to the championship has been dismissed. And it's Power Week 2 in the Telkom Netball League starting tomorrow morning at Ellis Park Arena.
A cloudy day in store for Gauteng, Johannesburg starting at 4 degrees, peaking at 19, Pretoria 7 and 20, Vereniging 5 and 18 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, police are searching for people responsible for the murder of Northwest activist Tad Mulan.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
We're calling on Joburg to walk the inner city with us. In 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Babize bonke. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
7 minutes after 6 o'clock, a much healthier Bongani Bingwa is presenting the show this morning. My thanks to Ray White, who did a phenomenal job over the last couple of days. I can finish my sentences now. On Monday, I battled through the show. If you've had this flu, you'll know exactly how stubborn and persistent it has been over the last couple of weeks. Certainly, it fouled me. But I'm much better and grateful to be here. In fact, the doctor wanted me off all week. Hey, Muteo? But because I knew Amoramila was back today, I just couldn't miss the return.
Oh, thank you.
Good morning, Amo.
Good morning.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Did you have a restful time away from us?
I did. I had a very beautiful, fantastic stay at home and just doing normal kind of things that any person does who doesn't work the kind of shifts that we work. So, yeah.
And I watched on the YouTube yesterday, Muteo, the hat. Explain.
Why are you asking me this on air?
You're wearing the hat.
I also saw
You wore it on YouTube.
And I thought...
There were people watching you on YouTube who wanted to know.
It's just a hat that I like.
Okay. I thought there must be an explanation.
My nephew is at initiation school.
Yes.
Yes, and that's why I'm wearing the hat. In Nisa.
You were being a traditional uncle.
Yes.
There you go. I watched you on the YouTube because that's how much
you were like,
FOMO
there has to have a there has to be a meaning there. I thought so too because the hat didn't come off. Unlike when he's usually wearing his caps and then sometime during the show he'll take off the cap and put on his headphones, but it didn't come off.
See?
You guys had a lot of time.
Even though I was away.
You had a lot of time on your hands.
Hey, Bongani and Amu, I've got a song for you guys. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
9 after 6, as you can hear, the entire team is now back together. Everybody who should be is back in the studio with us. The producers, of course, Bapelile and Rafiu are producing the show. Karabo always there for social media. KG starting the clock. You've heard Amoramila, who is back from leave. And the uncle of all uncles, Muteo Haripe, is here as well in the studio. Good morning to you, Muteo.
Good morning, Bongani.
I let you down.
Yeah.
I did not stay up the night before last to watch that game. I was heavily medicated, so I was completely out of it. I woke up to a message yesterday from Muteo, sent the night before, saying, "Wake up, you champion." So I feel like I'm a little late in my celebrations. I don't like
fans like this. Historic nights, come on.
It's gone. I was out of it. On the show today, we're going to be speaking about these name changes that are proposed for the Eastern Cape. You've already heard us referring to East London now as Gugombo City. Now, there's a whole history around Gugombo, which was a small locale in part of what is now Greater East London. And there's a particular rock there. There are some people who say it was a sacred place. It was a place where people used to go and commune with the dearly departed. But it is also something that comes out of that figure of speech that I could never say correctly, even when I was in high school. Onomatopoeia. Yes, I got it right. You know when words mimic the sound? So when you throw water from that rock, the splash it made went gombo. Gompo. And that's how it became Gugompo. Now, many people who are Xhosa speaking, who are from East London, would rather say they're from Emond, which again describes the mouth of the river as it enters the sea. Right? Emond from the Afrikaans mond, mouth. Why do we need name changes to some of these places? And do you support those name changes? And if it's about recognizing indigenous languages, surely then the names should be the ones that are already in use. I couldn't for the life of me understand why Port Elizabeth was renamed Gqeberha when most Xhosa speakers would call it Epai. Do you support these name changes as an historical injustice that must be reversed? Because, of course, black people, indigenous people, had names for these places before the Westerners arrived and decided to name them Piet Retief, for example. How about Toti? Do you know Toti? Amanzam Toti. But most people have called it Toti. Right? The names were there. Do we revert back to those? Do we use those that are in currency? What is your point of view? We're going to be speaking to Leah Potgieter, who is the DA spokesperson for Sports, Arts and Culture, who's got 38,000 signatures, she says, that object to the renaming of some places, particularly in the Eastern Cape. We'll also speak to the Deputy Chairperson of the South African Geographical Names Council. They're the ones who advise on the name changes, and they can explain perhaps why some of these names have been recommended in the way that they are. But what happens if you were to sustain an injury at work? One of the places where you could get some relief is from the compensation fund. If you, incurred some kind of injury or even disease or even, heavens forbid, death, but the compensation fund is leaking. 71 million reportedly missing. It is as if the fund was set up for fraudsters. Even when monies were paid to service providers, because it's insurance money essentially, they would do so, the fund would pay those people without at times documentation, supporting documents provided. Some of the monies would be intercepted, so money that was meant to go to AMO would be intercepted and diverted into the accounts of criminals. Fake bank accounts were submitted, and the Auditor General has flagged this, so we'll speak to the AG's office to find out how bad it is and what it means for South Africans desperate for relief because of workplace disasters.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
7:02 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
14 after 6. As always, of course, we've got a question that illustrates a story that we think you should pay some attention to in the news. And today's a bit of a light one. I want to know, when you choose to go to a concert, I'm talking you've spent decent money to go and see a particular artist that you may like, do you go there purely for the enjoyment of the performer, or is the vibe, in other words, the other people that are with you at said concert, part of your consideration? Are you one of those who wants polite clapping and you want to sit there and be entertained by the artist whom you've paid lots of money to see? You don't want the audience singing, you don't want disruptions? Or are you going to enjoy the show more if other fans are with you, singing along, recognizing the song, in kind of a conversation with the artist? Do you go there for the vibe or for the artist, Mateo?
For me, if it's an open air concert, I know I'm going for the vibe. That's what I'm going for. I'm going for the fans screaming for their favorite songs, singing along. That's what I'm there to see, right? And also with open air concerts, you might not be the closest person to the stage. So you're just there to get the vibes.
Would then the big screens, do they work for you?
Yes, that helps.
The sound
I don't mind watching
has to
a
be
concert
great
from a screen.
You don't
if
have
the
to be
vibe
up
is
front.
Right, yes. But if I want to see the artist, then I'll go. It will be dependent on the venue. It has to be more intimate. I can hear the artist, like I'm really up close.
Would you tell me to shush if I was singing along?
Definitely. In that type of venue. In a room, in a small room.
And especially when you're wearing the hat, hey?
I'm definitely going there for the artist, and I need to be in front of the stage. I need to see them up close. I need to sing along to their songs. Somehow, I want to feel recognized by the artist, and I know this.
That I'm there.
That I came. I bought this ticket, and I came to watch you perform, and singing along is part of the event for me. You have to be singing along. You can't just go there to, clap softly. No.
In 1997, I saw Luther Vandross and Michael Jackson. Which do you think I enjoyed more?
I think Luther.
Muteo, what would your guess be?
Knowing the fans, probably Luther.
Michael Jackson did everything you would expect him to do. He exploded on stage from some kind of rocket. It was incredible. The dancers, the choreography, the lights, the action, the costume changes. He was the Michael Jackson you'd expect to see on stage. 90% of the audience didn't know the songs. They didn't sing along. They were just there, gobsmacked at what this man was doing on stage. Luther Vandross came to South Africa not a few months later, hardly danced, hardly moved, not many costume changes, certainly no pyrotechnics and fireworks and things on stage. But 99% of that audience were fans, and they sang along to every song, and it felt like something spiritual. So what's the voice note on 072-702-1702? Which do you enjoy, the artist or the vibe, or a bit of both?
Let's walk the talk.
702.
Mateo Haripa, you've got a question of your own?
Yeah, I want to know this morning what South African destination needs better PRs. People should know about it because you travel there for the first time and you're completely blown away. Whether it's a small town that just feels right and restful.
See, I want to say it, but then I don't want it known.
Oh, no, don't gatekeep.
Do you see?
Why are you gatekeeping?
Because I don't want all of you to come. I know you're Joburgers.
They're going to forget. Tell us.
St. Francis Bay.
You love it there.
St. Francis Bay. It's just one of those places that not enough is known about.
And you prefer it that way.
Want to keep it that way.
702.
Weather.
18 after 6, this weather report brought to you by Subaru. Gravel, potholes, mud, or whatever the road turns into today, Subaru's got you. Pretoria, partly cloudy today, starting at a low of 7 degrees, peaking at 20 later. Same story for Joburg, cloudy, peaking slightly lower at 19 degrees. Jozi Johannesburg Vereeniging will be 18. Bombela and Mahikeng, 21 degrees. Durban also partly cloudy, peaking at a lovely 25 degrees though. Gqeberha, 22 degrees. East London, or should I say Gombo, 25 degrees.
The forecast says sunshine, but Mother Nature had other plans. Life changes, the weather turns. Little voices in the back still hoping you'll say yes. And you do, because beneath you there's a different kind of certainty in every turn and every stretch of road ahead. You don't worry about the weather. Instead, you get to enjoy every moment and every memory. That's not just confidence, it's love. Subaru carries you through life's weather. Fall in love with Subaru's all-weather confidence. Book a test drive on subaru.co.za.
EWN Traffic.
Let's have a first look at the roads. Amma, what are you seeing?
Well, Bongani, we've got a very busy morning. This is due to roadworks that are taking place on the N3 South between Linksfield Road and Waterfontein Road. There's also queuing traffic on the R24 West towards the Kiluli's interchange. That's due to an accident right after Edenville Road. Please be on the lookout there. While traveling on the N3 North towards Bedford View, queuing traffic between the Elands interchange and the Geldenhuys turnoff. That's due to peak time delays there. If you're traveling on the Mike1 North, more peak time pressure between Xavier Street and Carr Street. I'll have more traffic updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Part of the 702 family.
Hello, my name is Yolanda from Beauty and Treats. I actually live in Melville. 702 means for me changing the narrative and also being very informative. Thank you for listening.
Welcome to our 702 family. Let's walk the talk.
Whether it is a CCMA referral, problems with a mechanic, unfair blacklisting, or an uncontested divorce, Clientele Legal offers professional legal services to all South Africans. Our plans are affordable, and you receive up to 745,000 Rand worth of legal services per year. We cover civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Our nationwide legal teams are standing by to support you 24 hours a day. Plus, all plans include a 5,000 Rand bail benefit. Join today. SMS legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Still shopping around for a saving here and a deal there? Choose Checkers, SA's #1 in value supermarket, and save on deals like Nescafe Gold Instant Coffee, 200 or 220 grams for $149.99. Save 50 Rand. Cadbury Chocolate Slabs, 150 grams, any two for 79 Rand. And Lovey's Ultra Value Pack Disposable Nappies for $149.99 per pack. Valid until 7 June, only at Checkers.
This Saturday, catch 702 Music with Kenny Maestri live from the Kingsmead Book Fair, brought to you by Standard Bank Wealth and Investment. We're bringing you bold ideas, big conversations, inspiring stories as we wander into wonder. Hear from leading voices, including Standard Bank Chief Economist Gulam Balim, and dive into talks on generational wealth, global change, and the future. So don't miss 702 Music with Kenny Maestri this Saturday from 10 a.m., brought to you by Standard Bank Wealth and Investment on 702.
702.
Add your voice.
Have your say.
Let's walk the
Good
talk.
morning, Bongani and team. I am not against the name changes, right? But I can't for the life of me understand, as you have mentioned, how Ibai is not Ibai, it's Ikabeja, and I'm from here. And honestly, how East London is Kukombo when we all call it Emundi. Being born at Konge was perfectly fine, I understood, but how come with Ikonge, it stayed Ikonge? But when it came to East London and Port Elizabeth, we went with Kukombo and Kabeja. That I don't understand. I am, however, not against the name changes. This is Kanyisile from Kabeja.
Kanyisile from Kabeka. Listen, we'll speak to Johnny Mutlatla, who's the Deputy Chairperson of the South African Geographical Names Council, who'll explain why they advise those name changes should go ahead.
Start your day with Bongani Bingwa
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
What you need to know at this hour: Canada has summoned Israel's ambassador. This is over the treatment of the roughly 430 protesters detained on Monday after vessels in a Gaza-bound flotilla were intercepted in international waters. Among them include 12 Canadians among the group. The move follows a video shared by the Israeli National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir showing handcuffed detainees made to kneel with their faces down and their hands behind the back in a most humiliating position, being taunted by the minister. And it's triggered somewhat of a diplomatic storm. The Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney describing the treatment as abominable, and the Foreign Affairs Minister from Canada, Anita Anand, calling it absolutely unacceptable. Canada has joined several European countries, including France, Italy, and the Netherlands, in summoning Israeli diplomats and asking for explanations. An unfinished mayoral house in Bergzig Extension 9, and it's linked to the Lisedi local municipality, has been sold for 360,000 Rand, despite 1.9 million Rand having already been spent on its construction. The property was meant to serve as an official mayoral residence, but was left incomplete for years and later stripped of fittings and materials, with only 3 bidders taking part in the auction. This all comes as renewed scrutiny over how public money is used and why projects like this do not get completed. Adam Gilchrist will tell us more from Beijing. Remember, of course, the US President Donald Trump recently visited the Chinese capital. Hot on his heels was Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, and Adam Gilchrist will give us a tale of contrasting visits. I asked the question earlier: when you buy a concert ticket today, what are you really paying for? The artist or the full experience around the concert? Well, 12 London shows Harry Styles, the singer, is going to be staging in London, and it's expected that fans who are going to see Harry Styles over those 12 dates are going to spend an estimated £1 billion. That is around 21.6 billion Rand. Tickets, travel, hotel, food, merchandise. That average spend per person is around £1,000 per person. The idea, of course, is that these concerts are no longer just a night out, but full experience trips, and it's all about the full experience of having been there. If you're a Harry Styles fan, no doubt here in South Africa you might be having some FOMO. Born Christopher Wallace in Brooklyn, New York on this day in 1972, one of those who just left us too soon. The Notorious B.I.G. became one of the biggest voices in hip-hop history. Better known as Biggie Smalls, he turned stories about street life, hustle, pain, and ambition into poetry people could rap word for word.
I used to read Word Up magazine, Salt and Pepper and Heavy D up in the limousine, hanging pictures on my wall. Every Saturday, rap attack Mr. Magic Molly Mall. I let my tape rock till my tape pop, smoking the bamboo, sipping on private stock. Way back when I had the red and black.
Incredible. He was only 24 years old. He was only 24 years old. His murder remains unsolved, but 30 years later, his music still shapes rap culture around the world.
702.
The newspapers.
Sfisa Zulu, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Bongani.
You like tracking international news?
Yes, indeed.
What story are you tracking today?
There's some guy in Texas, in the US, who's been arrested after driving his Tesla truck into a body of water, a lake. So this is one of those Tesla Cybertruck. If you've seen them, they are very big and ugly, by the way. So he was testing the vehicle's Wade model feature. So according to Tesla, their manual says that Wade mode is a feature designed to help the Cybertruck drive through shallow water by increasing the vehicle's ride height. So it basically, you go into the water with the truck, and then it goes up, and then it's supposed to be able to drive on the water. But this guy's truck then got stranded in the lake. And the police, and then, no, he's not suing Tesla. Police are saying that he admittedly deliberately entered the lake and tested the feature, but the driver was arrested on charges of operating the vehicle in a restricted and closed section of the lake, as well as violating water safety regulations. There's nothing wrong with him testing out the feature. It's just that he did it in the wrong place, and he violated the state's laws.
As somebody once famously quipped, being dumb is not a disability. Front page of the Business Day, inflation rate hike, odds rise. CPI's 4% acceleration tests top end of banks' tolerance. They're saying essentially the SARB is likely to raise interest rates next week after the April inflation number accelerated, partly driven by higher transport costs linked to global oil supply disruptions because of the US-Iran war. The front page of the Sowetan, tainted ANC leader won't run for mayor. This is Tshwane Deputy Mayor Eugene Mudise. And the front page of the Citizen, all smiles as Josie suffers. A picture of Mayor Dada Morero after his State of the City address yesterday.
EWN Business.
Mateo wants to know what South African destination needs better PR. You've traveled there and you were blown away, and you think more people should find out about it. What prompts the question?
Well, Bongani, hospitality giant Southern Sun says Cape Town now has a stronger brand than South Africa. The company CEO Marcel van Orlik says the firm enjoyed gains from its SA units, but the lion's share of the business came from Cape Town. Southern Sun says it still enjoys pricing power in a very competitive Western Cape market. Southern Sun's Western Cape operations are primarily driven by Cape Town, generated around 2.5 billion rand in total income and 1.1 billion rand in earnings before expenses and taxes. Now, the company reported a more than 20% rise in earnings to 1.2 billion rand. The firm says improved occupancies and streamlining of its finances helped Southern Sun improve profits. The hospitality firm says it was also impressed by the recovery of the KwaZulu-Natal units. The SA occupancy rates jumped to 64% from 61% in the previous year. Southern Sun operates around 95 resorts and casinos, mostly in the South and East Africa. Income from the group increased by 9% to 7.2 billion rand.
Your indicators?
Looking at the rand, 16 rand 50 against the US dollar, weaker this morning, 19 rand 17 cents against the euro, and at 22 rand 15 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $4,534 an ounce, while platinum is at $1,942. Brent crude at $105 a barrel. More business after 7.
Time now for your latest eyewitness news. Over to you, Sfisa Zulu again.
Thanks, Bongani. Good morning. Dozens of undocumented foreign nationals have been arrested during a Department of Employment and Labour inspection at a construction site in Cape Town. In a video shared on the department's Facebook page, about 10 men can be seen seated on the ground at a construction site under the watch of law enforcement officers. The group was hiding from officials inside a room containing an electrical power box. Department spokesperson Tebogo Tejane says their inspections at construction sites across the country are ongoing.
The department will definitely continue visiting more construction sites in Cape Town and other areas in the Western Cape as well as in South Africa, as it's part of our functions to ensure compliance and ensure that we reduce incidents and we promote compliance in terms of the law.
The wife of slain top cop Charles Kenya says it's a massive relief that alleged underworld gang boss Nafis Modak case has now been closed in the Western Cape High Court. Modak is on trial along with 14 others for 122 charges, including Kenya's murder 6 years ago. The court yesterday ruled to close Modak's case after numerous delays and the accused's failure to secure new witnesses. Carlo Peterson reports.
Nicolette Kenya, the wife of slain top cop Charles Kenya, says she's delighted presiding judge Robert Henney decided to close Nafis Modak's case yesterday. Henney made the ruling after considering submissions from the prosecution and defense on whether or not to close Modak's case. The decision comes after numerous delays and Modak's failure to secure new witnesses for his case to proceed.
Long time overdue. The games that were being played, the delays, the stalling, it has just been making a mockery of our justice system.
Kenya says it's a relief for her family who have been attending court since an initial attack on her late husband in 2019. The matter is set to proceed with the case of co-accused Ziad Poo on Monday. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
Economists warn that while government has subsidized rising fuel, the real hard work lies in the long-term protective measures. Statistics South Africa yesterday announced that inflation increased to 4%, up from 3.1% last month, signaling the effects of the Middle East conflict. The rise in the cost of goods and services was mostly driven by sharp fuel increases due to Iran closing the key Strait of Hormuz in retaliation for US and Israeli February strikes. Some of the biggest drivers of inflation were accommodation and household expenses, as well as insurance and financial services. National Treasury extended the fuel levy to next month to offset rising fuel prices. Chief economist at Momentum Investments, Sanisha Pekesami, says these measures are short-term.
But the real hard work is in the longer-term structural reforms where we need to start moving people to public transport rather than private transport, moving more goods via the railway rather than roads. These are really the structural reforms that are going to insulate us in the longer run.
And British leader Keir Starmer has defended a contentious move to ease sanctions on imports of Russian jet fuel as well as diesel as the Middle East war causes prices to spiral. But opposition parties heavily criticized the trade license, which allows the UK to import Russian crude oil refined in third countries such as India. Starmer, in a call with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky last night, assured him that as a result of the UK's actions so far, there will be less Russian oil on the market, with Russia weaker as a result. The UK had announced in October it would ban imports derived from Russian crude, part of a push to cut off revenues funding Russia's war in Ukraine. But Starmer now says the government was issuing two targeted short-term licenses to phase the new sanctions in and to protect UK consumers. A cloudy day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures are at lows of 4 and 5 degrees, peaking at highs between 18 and 20.
And in the traffic, we've got heavy delays on the N3 North. This is between the Airlines Interchange and Van Buren Road. That's due to peak time delays there. The good news, though, is that accident we spoke about earlier in Bedfordview along the R24 West has been cleared, but traffic remains a bit slow approaching the Giluli's turnoff, so please be on the lookout there.
The top story this hour, at least 10 undocumented foreign nationals have been arrested during a Department of Labour inspection at a construction site in Cape Town.
Weekend Breakfast with Googs Mshungu.
702 Weekend Breakfast is a delicious, fascinating mix of things for the weekend. We cover fitness, personal finance, motoring, food, sustainability. We talk music, we talk books. We tell you what's hot and happening in and around 702 land. And then we bring in really interesting people to inspire you in the profile every Sunday. So the kind of listener that listens to 702 Weekend Breakfast is a fascinating individual. Yes, it's the weekend and they're relaxing and they're looking for interesting things to do, new things to learn. They've got their finger on the pulse on what's hot and happening, but they want to stay informed, so they engage in all of our conversations. They're also a curious listener, so when we tell them to try something out, to try something new, they're happy to go and try it because they trust us.
702 Weekend Breakfast with Googs Mshungu from 6 to 10 a.m.
If your car hire company was becoming too expensive, you'd switch, right? So why pay more for car insurance? Switching to Outsurance saved 40-year-old Rafiq an unbelievable 899 Rand on his 2017 Navara 4x4. Get a quote now, and if Outsurance can't save you money, ask for 500 Rand or 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free with the same insurer for 3 years. Do it now. SMS out to 45142. So that's out to 45142. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP. T's and C's and information online.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crush prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety, and service, Warrior Paints is streets ahead. Warrior Paints. Affordable, lasting luxury.
702 is in conversation with Capitec, discussing how South Africans can protect themselves against financial crime.
What scammers understand and what most of us don't fully appreciate is that our brains are wired to make fast decisions when we feel excited or under pressure. So the fear of missing out on a great deal is a powerful emotion, and scammers deliberately engineer that feeling. The ticking clock, the other interested buyer, the seller is about to leave town. So they use attractive prices. That's in itself a tool. It creates excitement and urgency, and it makes people willing to move fast without thinking or asking questions. And the surge in the digital era is also about scale. So a single scammer can run dozens of fake listings. In the physical world, a fraudulent car dealer or landlord has limited reach. Online, the same fraud can be deployed at industrial scale with almost no cost.
Slam the scam with Capitec. Capitec is an authorized financial services provider and registered credit provider.
Coming up on the next hour, What's the Question? Brought to you by Outsurance. Up to 3,000 Rand in cash is up for grabs. All you need to do is send us an answer based on anything that piqued your interest during the show, and for that you win 1,000 Rand. Simply WhatsApp us your name at the answer to 072 702 1702. Then a little later, someone else will ask a question to get to your answer, and they will win 2,000 Rand. Now, you always stand a better chance of being selected if you've SMS'd out to Outsurance to get yourself a quote. So do it now. SMS out to 45142. You could save on your car insurance.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Good morning, guys. It's JP here, long time listener, first time sending you a message. But just talking about the concerts and whether or not singing along is better, or whether you would have the artist perform a show per se. I'll take you back to Eminem when he was in South Africa, and man, I was a young teenager at the time, and let me tell you, everyone in that crowd knew the words, knew the lyrics, knew the songs, and it just created an atmosphere that is unforgettable until to this day. So yeah, guys, I'm for the vibe, I'm for the atmosphere. Great show. Shot, guys. Cheers.
Morning, Bongs and team. Sheldon in Pretoria. I enjoy the sing-along, and I knew you'd say Ludo Van Ross because you have some sort of resemblance to him. Thanks. Enjoy the day. Nice show again.
Morning, Bongani. I enjoy the vibe, singing along. I just don't understand people who take out their cell phone because they're not in the moment. And then they need to do that to send their pictures to people who are not in the concert. They are ruining it for others. Thank you.
I wonder about that. So we're talking, firstly, Harry Styles, the pop singer, has got a 10-day residency, if you will. He's going to have 10 concerts at London's Wembley Stadium. And the City of London is expecting that the fans who are going to be going to the shows, the Harry Styles shows, are going to spend up to £1 billion. It's going to be a great boost for the London economy. So think hotels, think restaurants, think food, think drinks, and of course the concert tickets. He's already been performing in Amsterdam, where some fans are complaining that they're too far away from the stage. They don't see as much of Harry as they'd like to see. And for the money they're spending, they're saying it's not worth it. They've got to change or restage how the show works. And so today we're asking, do you go to see the artist specifically, or do you go there for the vibe? JP, appreciate that voice note. Long-time listener. We love hearing from long-time listeners who are sending voice notes for the first time. So thank you for that one, JP. Saw Eminem, had a fantastic time. I explained that I enjoyed Luther's show more than Michael Jackson's, even though Michael did all the things that you'd expect him to do on stage, the dancing, the effects, and all of that. But the majority of the audience who went to see Michael Jackson went for the novelty value. They weren't his fans. Whereas Luther had only fans, and they sang to every song. They knew every word of every song. And for me, that's what made the show fantastic. So, Sheldon, it's not because there was a bit of a resemblance. Cindy Paluta, do you go for the vibe or the artist? You went to go see Taylor Swift, didn't you?
No.
Or you saw the screen version, the cinema version.
Yes, there was a 3-hour cinema version of her exact concert. I know exactly what the fans are talking about, the Harry Styles thing. And I think the problem is that it's the design is almost like it's like 2 number 8s together. People far right can't see what he's doing on far left, and it looks amazing if you actually for once have the what do you call
the
them?
Aerial view,
the really really high seats that Bruno Mars fans have said they're closer to Mars than Bruno when they're watching him. I think it's quite important for the amount that you're paying for tickets. So those people at the bottom would have paid an astronomical amount to be seeing Harry Styles up close, and you're probably only getting him for a very short amount of the concert. So you can say, well, are you there for the vibe or the artist? But I very distinctly remember my parents going to watch Julio Iglesias at Sun City in the 80s and coming back, and their complaint was he just sat on the chair the whole night and sang.
It was Julio Iglesias.
They were like, he didn't even get up and walk around the stage. He just sat on one chair in the middle of the stage, and they'd paid all this money and driven to Sun City. So I think there is, and always has been, an element of you do have to keep the crowd entertained. Yeah. Otherwise, I could have literally just stayed home and watched and listened to the CD.
Do you know why Julio didn't get up?
Why?
He was relying on all the girls he'd loved before.
Welcome back, Bongani. It's been so long. What happened in the 22 years that we've been gone? Arsenal have finally won the league. Oh, 22 years. My goodness.
EWN Sport.
Yeah, no?
Yeah, I mean, it was absolutely fantastic.
So we've moved on. You weren't here. We've moved on. I'm joking.
Cindy was the one who said, "You're sick. Don't come to work." This was on
I
Monday.
was the one that literally yesterday messaged you and said, "Are you alive?" Because who doesn't come to work the day after their team are crowned Premier League champions for the first time in 22 years?
I was absolutely out of it. This flu is stubborn and it's persistent.
I would have come in my hospital bed. You would have. Oh, no, I made him cough. Okay, so let me take you, Aston Villa fans, on your journey this morning. You've ended a 30-year trophy drought altogether, winning Europa League. Villa beat Freiburg 3-0 in last night's final with goals from Tielemans, Buendia and Rodgers. The result means Villa qualifies for next season's Champions League. Villa boss Unai Emery delivered on a promise he made 3 years ago of ensuring the team would win silverware. It's his 6th Europa League final and his 5th Europa League win.
Thankful the club
I work it, the owners, the players, it's very important how everybody, we got strongly this competition and we tried to get our best. And we played a very serious way this year, so focus, and of course the players, they show with me their wishes, because I was telling them we need wishes, we need desires in this competition, and to show on the field you are the protagonist, and they did it.
Southampton's appeal to be reinstated in the Championship playoffs following their expulsion for Spygate has been dismissed, despite arguing that the decision was manifestly disproportionate. The original decision has been upheld. Middlesbrough will now face Hull City in the Championship playoff on Saturday. It's Power Week 2 of the Telkom Netball League at Ellis Park Arena in Johannesburg from tomorrow morning. Going into the upcoming matches, the Crinums top the table ahead of the Gauteng Jaguars, with the defending champions, the Fireballs, needing to fight from 4th place. And in the IPL, the Kolkata Knight Riders beating the Mumbai Indians by 4 wickets, chasing down 148 with an over to spare. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
If you're CEO or CFO looking to grow across Africa, then the next 60 seconds are for you. Because in that short time, one bank in Africa will process over 300 million rand. That's 430 billion rand every day. Right now, we have 17.7 trillion rand of the continent's assets under custody management, making us far and away the largest bank by assets in Africa, which is why in 2025, we were voted Best Bank for Corporates in Africa at the Euro Money Awards for Excellence. So, if you're looking for a bank with scale, we are easy to find. We are in 21 key markets across Africa, and we've been on the continent for 163 years, so we are not going anywhere. Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
We asked rugby legend Francois Steyn what he thinks of the all-new Toyota BZ4X. France, would you say the BZ4X is a rugged all-wheel drive SUV?
Yeah.
Cool. Was the acceleration and handling good?
Yeah.
All right. So you think the BZ4X can handle South Africa?
Well,
there you have it. The all-new Toyota BZ4X, an all-wheel drive battery electric SUV made to handle South Africa. The BZ4X. It just got real.
Joburg is more than just a city. It's an energy, a pulse, and a feeling connecting everybody. The heart of Mzansi.
It's Joburg.
In celebration of this, 702 has partnered with Jozi My Jozi, and we're calling on you to walk through the city center with us.
Walk the talk.
In the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk. Babize bonke. On Sunday, 26 July, we're going to the iconic Joburg CBD, the home of dream creators and operators, where we dominate and history make. So join us and be a part of something special.
I'm ready to rock this book.
Because when Joburg walks together, extraordinary things happen. Enter now on primemediaplus.com and get ready for 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk this July, hosted by the city of Johannesburg. Walk with the people, for our Jozi. Babize bonke. Enter Walk the Talk now on primemediaplus.com.
The brainy kids of the Whiz Quiz
on 702.
Good morning, 702 Radio. My name is Malaika. I am 12 years old and I go to Sharon Lee Primary School. When I grow up, I want to become a surgeon. I can't wait to play the Whiz Quiz with Uncle Bongani.
702.
Coming up at 7:15, the big interview.
EWN Traffic.
11 to 7, the CWN traffic brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, you can ask them for 500 Rand. That crash on the N1 North. Amo?
Bongani, it's causing heavy delays. It's in the four-ways area. And also do remember that we still have got those delays due to faulty traffic lights in the four-ways area right along Winnie Mandela Drive towards Monte Cassino Boulevard. So if you're traveling around the four-ways area at this particular moment, please be on the lookout there and try to find alternative routes. You can travel through Bryanston and then turn off at Rivonia Road to rejoin the N1 North. I'll have more updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Things people stress about in traffic. Number 51. Did I use too many emojis in that text? Did I sound too eager? Oh, the mental gymnastics. Well, with the Outsurance Pointsman on your route, at least the traffic is one less thing to stress about. The Outsurance Pointsman policemen have been easing traffic congestion so we all get to where we need to be quickly and safely for the past 20 years. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In partnership with 702, Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
The 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk is calling on you to walk with the people for the people on Sunday, 26 July, Babize Bonke. And this year, you could choose from 3 different inner city routes. The 5-kilometer Victoria Yards route takes you from Ellis Park through the inspirational Joburg Cricket Club into Victoria Yards and past the Troyville Hotel. You then finish off at Ellis Park. So whether you're walking 5 kilometers, 8 kilometers, or 15 kilometers, enter now at primemediaplus.com and get ready for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the city of Johannesburg.
So, the payments game has totally changed and businesses can now score with the new FNB Speedpoint range.
That's great news for business owners.
You get a low commission rate starting from 1.8% that drops to as low as 0.6% as your business grows.
I want to play for this winning team.
Get in the payments game with a bank that rewards your business for doing well. FNB, help changes everything. First National Bank, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Who is the whizziest of them all?
It's the Whiz Quiz on 702.
Up next, we speak to the DA. 38,000 signatures, they say, that they have objecting to the proposed name changes, particularly in the Eastern Cape. In the meantime, let's give away some cash, shall we? Today's contestant is Malaika. Whiz Quiz players must be aged 10 to 13 to participate. I've got 10 questions. I need 10 correct answers to give away 10,000 Rand. Otherwise, it's $100 for each correct answer. Malaika, you want to be a surgeon later on in life, do you?
Yes.
But if we have a medicine question, hopefully you get that one right, eh?
Yes.
All right, good luck to you. KG, start the clock. Spell the word company.
COMPANY.
Correct. True or false? Nectar is the name of a sweet liquid in flowers.
True.
Correct. What is 20 times 5?
100.
Correct. How many A's are there in the word ancestors?
2.
1. What is the name of Egypt's capital? Is it Cairo or Harare?
Cairo.
Correct. Which is the 4th planet in the solar system?
Venus.
It's Mars. How many sides does a hexagon have?
6.
Correct. What is the frozen form of water that falls as white flakes?
Ice.
Snow. What do you call young frogs that still have their tails? Tadpoles. Tadpoles is what we call them. Tadpoles. And I'm looking at the judges and they say you have won 500 Rand. Malaika, 5 correct answers. $100 for each correct answer. Well done. Malaika is 12 years old and goes to Sharon Lee Primary School.
The brainy kids of the Whiz Quiz.
On 702.
Current events, developing stories,
Tough questions.
your voice making a difference.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.
Names you have known for generations. Graaff-Reinet, Aberdeen, Ardendorp, and East London. Soon to be replaced by the names Robert Sobukwe Town, Amdebo, Bishop Limba, and Kukompo City. Across the Eastern Cape, dozens of towns and cities are in line for a name change, and those have been approved by the South African Geographical Names Council. But the DA says, hang on a minute, the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture has not handled, at least has not taken account of the many objections to those name changes. The party now says it has about 38,000 signatures protesting or at least objecting to these name changes. Leah Potgieter is a member of Parliament for the Democratic Alliance and the spokesperson on sports, arts and culture, and joins us now on the line. A very good morning to you and welcome to our program.
Good morning, Bongani. Nice to speak to you again, and good morning to your listeners.
38,000 objections to these Eastern Cape name changes. What's the problem with changing the names of these towns and cities?
Well, I don't think there's essentially a problem with changing names of towns and cities. You know, it has a place in our culture, but with this particular instance, there are glaring irregularities in the request to change the name.
Right, take us through your objections.
So, I mean, if you go back to 2023, there's actually an independent research study that was done on this, and it has a sort of 95% confidence level with about a 5% margin of error. And in that study, they ascertained that about 83.6% of the residents there objected to the name changes, particularly in Graaff-Reinet. 92% of those were coloured, 55% were black, and 98.5% were white. So already there was a general consensus that there was an opposition to this name change. But if you go back to the original public participation that was done on this particular these particular name changes, there were several problems. During the meetings that they had in 2023 and 2024, there was a clear majority of community members who opposed the proposal, and they actually called for a vote because they recognized that in principle there was a requirement that clear community supporters needed to recommend the proposed changes to the South African Geographical Name Changing Council. They weren't allowed to take that vote. Then after that, and this was the research that was done by Ronnie Donaldson, who's a geography professor at Stellenbosch, and he basically came out with this study with regards to the 83.6% of the people that didn't want to, didn't support.
Yeah. Leah, can you tell us why people don't want those name changes? What was their reason for objecting to the proposed changes?
I think, the purpose of changing names in towns and cities is obviously to redress, past injustices. It's to, recognize the struggle heroes of South Africa. It's to align our culture more with the demographic nature of who we are right now.
Yeah.
And a lot of people within these towns have said that they've actually adapted, the name of these particular towns to suit them, not only in terms of tourism and economic development, but it's become theirs. So these town names have become essentially something that they are proud of, and in particular, a lot of NGOs or NPOs that operate in that space say that, changing these names actually will have a dire effect on their businesses. So, these are some... essentially... Yeah, I mean, look, I don't live there, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm a Joburg resident, born and bred. But, a lot of them have said that these, names have become... They own them. They've become theirs. They no longer belong to, the past. They don't have any issues with them. It doesn't, bring any offense into their lives, so to speak, as other names have done. But, in essence, I think that the real problem here is the process that was followed.
I mean, Graaff-Reinet doesn't strike me as a major tourist destination. They
are honest about it. I think they've got about 51. Yeah, I think they've got about 51,000 people that live there. But for them, it is important. It is important for them to keep tourism alive. They've got a lot of old Dutch buildings in the town, and for them it is important. So, whether I agree with that or not is irrelevant.
So hang on. I mean, your objection is that this wasn't put to a vote. Is that part of the process that must be followed when a name change occurs?
No, it's just when the South African Council basically proposes these name changes to the minister, they do so with the consensus of the communities. And this is very important. I mean, we live in a democracy. It's the same with voting. There has to be a consensus. So in essence, a majority of people have to agree that this is something that they want. The original request to change the name was made by sort of some nondescript person that I don't actually think anybody's actually got confirmed, data on that. But it wasn't a name change that was kind of, asked for by the community, etc. But when they make these suggestions, they are guided by the handbook, which basically says that, we should preserve names rather than destroy them, and that naming should be done on the basis of consensus and various other, requirements. So the problem is that given that now already there's sort of 83.6% opposition to these name changes, which is given in the study, and also the fact that we've collected 38,000 objections, we have to question whether or not Gate McKenzie actually acted in the best interest of Graaff-Reinetters and the rest of these places. But the other issue is that in 2024, Gate McKenzie himself said that there were flaws and there was a huge problem with the public participation process. And in that year, he refused to approve the name change, specifically for that reason. And he said that the public participation had to be redone, if anything else. Then he did an about turn.
I tell you what, Leopold, we'll put some of those issues that you raise to our next guest who is going to be joining us. Of course, they're the ones who advise on these name changes. And so we'll be speaking to the South African Geographical Names Council just after the Eyewitness News Bulletin. And we'll look at money gone missing from the Compensation Fund.
This is EWN.
The electricity minister sends a stern warning to Joburg and Eskom, and the Northwest has been gripped by shock after the murder of activist Tad Mulan. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Electricity Minister Johannesburg has warned of serious consequences if Eskom and the city of Joburg fail to resolve the metro's 5.2 billion rand debt. The utility has threatened to cut power to several bulk supply points in the city. Ramokgopa says Joburg's debt is concerning because of the metro's economic importance. Kosikona Malingamnisi reports.
Ramokgopa says the city of Joburg and Eskom must deal with each other as debtor and creditor, warning that a breakdown in relations could have devastating consequences. The minister says he will again bring both parties to the table after a previous agreement failed when the city did not meet its commitments. Ramokgopa has also pledged support to strengthen the city's power entity and improve its management of the energy network.
The principal problem we're sitting with here is the hemorrhaging of technical skills at the city power. It's a basic understanding of how this system works, this very complex system works. So some of your most experienced and talented engineers have left. So what we're doing is that we bring this capacity into city power.
Meanwhile, Joburg Mayor Dara Morero says the city will not dispute the debt, but will work with the minister and Eskom to find a solution. Or see Kwana Malingamnisi, Eyewitness News.
Meanwhile, Cooperative Governance Minister Velenkosini Hlabisa says he will not hesitate to intervene in failing council as long as the decision is taken lawfully. And Chairperson of Standing Committee on Public Accounts, Songezo Zibi, says it's still inconceivable that the council controlling the country's economic hub has failed to table financial statements and owes Eskom. Hlabisa delivered the budget of his department in Parliament yesterday. Lindsay Dentlinga reports.
Only 41 of the country's 257 municipalities achieved clean audits during the last audit in 2024. Minister Velenkosini Hlabisa says while this is progress from 34 in the previous year, much is still to be desired.
We must be equally candid. Too many municipalities continue to struggle. Weak governance and financial mismanagement remain a serious concern.
Scopa Chairperson Zongezo Zibi believes weak political leadership is leading to poor decisions in recruiting the top management of councils.
The quality of those decisions reflects the quality of the political decision making in council.
Zibi has appealed to the minister to prescribe minimum standards for the appointment of council executives. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
The family of slain Northwest activist Tad Mulan says he lived his life expecting to die at any moment. Mulan was killed yesterday morning when a group of armed men stormed his house in Maikeng and shot him multiple times. He was known for helping law enforcement officials in the fight against crime and corruption. Tabiso Goba reports.
Whether it was service delivery issues, politics or corruption allegations, Tad Mulan would lend his voice to a myriad of social issues. The outspoken community activist used his social media pages, where he had a significant following, to highlight the many problems plaguing Mahikeng. His older brother Leviticus Mulan says Tato always knew his activism might get him into trouble.
Although he used to say a lot, including in social media, that I don't care, I'm dead. Whatever you do, I'm dead. But I will not stop talking this human justice in this country.
Leviticus says the people who murdered Tato did not take or steal anything from him.
The manner at which Tato was killed, that was not robbery. It was purely assassination or murder, and this is a premeditated murder. It was well orchestrated.
No arrests yet have been made by police. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News, Northwest.
And America has charged former Cuban leader Raul Castro with conspiracy to kill U.S. nationals over the 1996 downing of two planes between Cuba and Florida. Washington accuses Castro and 5 other people in the shooting down of the aircraft belonging to Cuban exile group in America, Brothers to the Rescue, and killing 4 people, including 3 Americans. Castro was then head of the country's armed forces and faced international condemnation over the crash. As the U.S. seeks to exert increasing pressure on Cuba's government, President Miguel Diaz-Canel has called the charges a political maneuver devoid of any legal foundation. U.S. Acting Attorney General Tad Mulan announced the charges a few hours ago.
The indictment was returned by a grand jury sitting in this district in Miami on April 23rd, 2026, and was unsealed today. For nearly 30 years, the families of 4 murdered Americans have waited for justice.
Gold is trading at $4,543.79 an ounce. The rand is at 16.47 to the dollar, 22.13 to the pound, 19.16 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $105.74 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N1 North. This is in the Four Ways area. An accident reported there right after Winnie Mandela Drive. It's causing heavy delays. Winnie Mandela Drive in itself is affected coming out of Witkappen Road, also due to faulty traffic lights at several junctions along this route. If you're traveling in Sunny Hill, do expect delays on the N1 North due to a car stuck on the road. It's on the left lane after the Baklu interchange. It's also causing some issues.
And in your sport, Aston Villa beat Freiburg 3-0 to win the Europa League title for the first time in 44 years and book a place in next year's Champions League. Southampton's appeal to be reinstated to the Championship playoffs has been dismissed. And top tennis players start protests ahead of the French Open. That starts this Sunday.
A cloudy day in store for Gauteng. Johannesburg is at a low of 4 degrees, peaking at 19. Pretoria, 7 and 20. Vereeniging, 5 and 18 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Electricity Minister Kgosientsho Ramokgopa has warned of serious consequences if Eskom and the city of Joburg fail to resolve the metro's 5.2 billion rand debt.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Joburg is more than just a city. It's an energy that connects us all.
That's what makes this one so special.
In 702, Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the city of Johannesburg. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
It was a parade of glitz and glam as the Joburg Mayor Dada Morero delivered his State of the City address. He did so at the St. Mary's Cathedral in Johannesburg, and he says, nothing to see, nothing to fear. The city of Johannesburg is not broke. I know we had, of course, a conversation about this just yesterday when Ray White was hosting the show, but how worried are you that the city of Joburg is now in complete and utter disarray? There was that stern letter from Treasury about the 10 billion rand or so promised to workers in a wage deal the city cannot afford. And now the electricity minister is warning of serious consequences if the issue between our power utility and the city of Johannesburg is not resolved. The mayor has given a rosy assessment of the city of Johannesburg. Are you convinced by his words?
We will not fight Eskom. We will work with the Minister of Electricity and Energy, the South African Local Government Association, to resolve this particular challenge. We are on track in ensuring that the city resolves the dispute with Eskom. Yes, City Power does have a turnaround plan which addresses this challenge. And part of the solution is to implement National Treasury and Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs guidance to reform and strengthen municipal trading entities.
How worried are you that the city is not going to get its act in order? It's not the only one that is facing some difficulties. Have a listen to what's happening in eThekwini. This was during a heated session of Parliament's Standing Committee on Public Accounts, SCOPA, where a DA MP, Farhat Esak, was questioning how the eThekwini municipality leaders spend the money of the city.
3 billion rand was written off in 2 financial years in the interest of accountability and culture, as you might have mentioned. How do you account for 6.43 billion rand being written off in 24 months? I mean, has there been any investigations? Who is responsible? What is going on? Just give us a short synopsis of it. Then I'll move on to the next one. This chairperson will cut me off quick when my time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Member. We've reflected in our presentation how those irregular expenditure have come about, but I'm going to request the CFO to give further details. Thank you.
6.4 billion in irregular expenditure written off. 6 billion rand gone. Can't be explained. Let's talk about what's happening in the police. Have a listen to the acting police minister receiving sharp criticism from MP Darylene James about the dysfunction in the SAPS.
Honorable Speaker, Minister, Deputy Minister, Alison Seps is missing. Drugs go missing. Firearms go missing. A couch is missing. Basic couch. Yesterday, the IO went missing in the Sibanyoni case. Dockets go missing. Alles is missing. So kan het nie aangaan nie, Minister. Honorable Speaker, the votes before this House today relating to South African Police Service, the Independent Police Investigative Directorate and the Civilian Secretariat for Police speak directly to the question of whether our state is capable of ensuring safety, accountability and justice for all South Africans.
Isn't that the word of the day? Missing. Whether it's in eThekwini or in Johannesburg or in the SAPS, alles is missing. Yonkinto is missing.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
12 after 7, things you need to know at this hour. A Jackson Pollock painting has been sold at Christie's in New York for $181 million, roughly 3 billion rand, placing it amongst the most expensive artworks ever auctioned. Today, the world celebrates International Tea Day. Did you know that tea remains the most consumed drink on planet Earth, following water? There are more tea people than there are coffee people, it turns out. So happy International Tea Day if you're a lover of tea. And imagine showing up to work for nearly 2 decades and then every year someone else gets Employee of the Month. Well, actress Susan Lucci at the Daytime Emmys experienced that because she was nominated for an Emmy 19 years in a row and only won it after 18 losses on this day in 1999. And it was on this day Marvin Gaye released his classic album, What's Going On?, changing soul music forever.
702. Up next,
the big interview.
EWN Traffic.
13 after 7, the CWN Traffic brought to you by Sizek Hire. The National Lottery is changing lanes and moving over to Sizek Hire, your new official national lottery operator from the 1st of June. Amo?
Well, Bongani, in Alberton, we've got an accident that happened on the R59 North. It happened right near Swartkopies Road. Delays coming out of Klipprivier Drive. About a 20-minute hold up there. You still have the N3 through Vosloorus as well as Straight View if you want to avoid this backlog. Traveling on the N17 West, we've got roadworks taking place along the N17 right near Ospen Road, causing delays. There's also queuing traffic on the N3 North. This is between the Yelands turn off and Van Buren Road. That's due to a car that is stuck on the road there. If you're still traveling in the Four Ways area, we still have got queuing traffic on the N1 North. This is between Winnie Mandela Drive and Rivonia Road due to an earlier accident there. The N1 South towards Winnie is also a bit backed up there, so please be on the lookout. And if you want to avoid this, travel through Bryanston and then rejoin the N1 through Rivonia Road. I'll have more updates. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
something big is coming. You see, if you are tired of life never giving you a real chance, just know that your chance is coming. We've decided that if life isn't gonna give us bigger and better, then we're gonna give it to ourselves. We're also tired of the ones running this whole thing. Soon there'll be a takeover, a change, a chance. Like we said, something big is coming, and your chance to change your life is finally coming home with Sizekaya. Mzansi, a new chapter begins 1st of June 2026.
There's a song that goes, "Money can't buy me love." And that's true. But then they told us all you need is love, which anybody with a mortgage will tell you most certainly is not true. Love won't pay your parking tickets or your student loan. It's also needy. It requires effort, availability, constant care. But more importantly, love requires time. And while money can't buy you love, it can certainly free up some of your time. Time to spend on the things you love, with the people you love. And if you're looking, maybe even time to find the one you love. That's why, after 50 years of investing, we've learned that time is the greatest gift of all. And the good news is, if you invest early, time gives you money. And then money gives you more time to do the things you love. And don't you love that about investing? Ellen Gray, long-term investing. Ellen Gray is an authorized FSP.
Managing your workforce shouldn't be complicated. That's why businesses choose Onacy, a proudly South African cloud-based payroll and HR solution. From payroll and e-recruitment to performance management and self-service tools, we streamline the way businesses handle their people. Scalable, secure, and always online, our system evolves with your needs because your workforce deserves the best. Switch to Onacy and experience payroll and HR done right. Visit onacy.com today.
It's 6 a.m. in Kenya. Victor's little sister starts high school today, but her fees need to be paid first. Back in Jersey, Victor logs onto the Absa banking app and sends her money and a little extra for lunch. It arrives instantly.
Your money makes their world go round. Send cash to 18 countries across the world with Absa Global Pay. It's safe, instant, and affordable. Your story matters. Absa is an authorized FSP and a registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
702.
The Big Interview
with Bongani Bingwa.
17 after 7, we were due to speak to the Deputy Chairperson of the South African Geographical Names Council in response to the DA's objections to those name changes proposed for places and towns in the Eastern Cape. But he's not picking up his phone at the moment. Maybe he saved us using the wrong name, hey? Who knows? Let's move on to this then. What happens if you sustain an injury at work? One of the ways in which you could get relief is to apply for funding from the compensation fund. But that fund is meant to shield workers from disease or death or injury sustained at work, has now been leaking money in the millions. 71 million rand has reportedly gone missing, giving workers little cover for liability for disasters in the workplace. Missing files, fake bank accounts, intercepted payments, poor cybersecurity and other shenanigans have seen money meant for injured workers and medical providers siphoned into the hands of criminals. The fund appears to be a fraudster's paradise because even when monies are paid to service providers, at times this is done without supporting documents. The Auditor General has warned that persistent financial mismanagement, weak controls and mounting fraud, all those risks will mean little or no compensation for injured workers. We are joined now from the Auditor General's office, the acting head of portfolio at the AGSA, Auditor General South Africa, Khabo Komape joins us. Appreciate your time, Khabo, and welcome to 702 Breakfast.
Thank you so much, Bongani. Good morning to you and the listeners. Thank you for having me.
All right, let's talk about the significant irregularities that have been highlighted at the compensation fund. How does 71 million rand go poof, missing?
Maybe, Bongani, it's important that we reflect a bit on the importance of the compensation fund, right?
Yes,
and I'm going to map out a bit of the work that we've done over a number of years, right? If you really think of the compensation fund, what you are getting in there is that ordinarily employers around South Africa will contribute to that particular fund based on the assessment that they had received from the entity, and that assessment would enable a payment of a certain fee, right? But that fee is meant to cover a possible injury for the employees or the workers when they do encounter casualties.
So just to be clear, the compensation fund would more or less say to employers, based on the work that you do or your workers might do, we think this is the kind of cover you need should things go wrong in your particular circumstance or area, correct?
No, correct. So it's actually industry-based as well, right?
Yes.
So it is driven by the COIDA Act in particular. It has got categories. It insinuates how the employer should actually be assessed.
Right.
So bottom line is that employer contribution, it is with an intention of ensuring that when their employees encounter whether injuries or challenges, they can be able to claim and cover successfully by the compensation fund. And that's why the compensation fund is significant. Now, let's reflect a bit on the work that we've done as the AGSA over the years. May I just share with you that for more than 10 years, close to 15 years, we've always issued a disclaimer of opinion on compensation fund, right? And that's concerning, deeply concerning. You remember that disclaimer of opinion basically says that as the AGSA, we were not given evidence to support how the money was utilized. So which basically means that the numbers as they are presented in the financial statements and the performance, meaning the mandate delivery as reflected in the performance report, they are not supported by evidence. And that should worry all of us. So this had happened over a number of years. I mean, if we count, we are getting close to 15 years of a disclaimer of opinion in compensation fund. What does that mean to the broader South Africans? It basically means that you wouldn't know whether the money that you, as an employer, meaning the companies are contributing to the fund for, are utilized properly. What does it mean to the workers? It basically says you wouldn't know if your claim is going to be covered when your time to seek support from that entity happens. But also, you should worry as a worker because you wouldn't know whether at the point when you are claiming you'll be paid at the right amount. And there are multiple issues that we highlighted as the AGSA. One, we said that the space in the compensation fund, because it's not ventilated, you remember that a disclaimer of opinion suggests that transparency is completely non-existent, right? So if we issue a disclaimer of opinion and we don't say except for these areas, we basically say all your main, in the compensation fund aspect, we are basically saying all your main line of business, they are not supported by evidence so far as the numbers and the performance feedback is concerned.
Right. So that's
now.
Yeah, I want to get to some of the specifics because you are giving us the broad scenario, and I think we're up to speed as far as that is concerned. But can you explain some of the lapses in terms of the financial management problems that the compensation fund has been experiencing? There are all sorts of allegations, for example, of fraudulent claims being submitted, monies paid into fraudulent bank accounts, unauthorized payments. Can you give us some of the specifics of what you've observed?
All right. So if you take the recent report that we've issued on the 31st of July, just as an example, you'll find a section in that audit report that speaks to material irregularities as issued by the AGSA. That is where we are indicating instances where they lost money because of fraud indicators or because of malfunction of systems. One of it is where we identified intercepted payments. Typically, you process the payments that you want to make, meaning for the claims. You push it through to the bank. You use the technology to do that. We've identified that the bank accounts that were meant to be receiving this money would have been changed such that the bank accounts that eventually received the money are those that are unknown, at least so far as the beneficiary listing of the compensation fund is concerned. That is worrisome because that's a fraud indication, right? And we ask compensation fund to investigate it, and we also ask that they follow up with the investigating bodies. The other element that we identified is the employer income. So when you assess the employers, you have to stick within the parameters of the assessment rules. What we are finding as an indication of fraud, again, is that you find an employer being assessed at a lower rate than that which they should be assessed for. That's an indication of a problem. The other area, again, you'll find that a legit medical service provider submitted a legit invoice for the service that they indeed had rendered, right, that the fund must pay for. And you find that the money relating to that invoice is diverted to a different bank account. Why does this thing worry us as the AGSA? We are clear that the governance structures of the compensation fund are at this point, they are not effective. We've raised it with all the role players. I know Parliament is concerned. I know that we raised with the ministers as well. We raised it with the portfolio committee and all other role players that are taking, they're playing a role in the compensation fund. Bongani, if you ask us as the AGSA, we would tell you that until such time that there is a clear accountability in the compensation fund for the management and the leadership of the compensation fund, we doubt that South Africa will receive the services that they intended to receive. The money.
I'm sorry to come in there, Khabo. I've tried to let you explain as much as you can about this because it's almost too shocking for words. But here we are in South Africa. These stories come out every other day. 10 to 15 years with a disclaimer audit opinion. I mean, what can the Auditor General do around an entity like this, a situation like this? Is yours just to say there are clear failures here and the matter ends there? Is there any accountability around all of that has gone wrong at the compensation fund?
Yeah, so beyond issuing the audit report, right? So there are a couple of things that we've done. One of it is that as the AGSA, we have a duty to issue recommendations. And you would hear that our core recommendations of the compensation fund is to basically ensure that you are investigating the end-to-end key processes of the key aspects of the compensation fund. So which means that you're going to have to look at the areas where you are generating revenue, which speaks to the IT systems of the compensation fund. The control mechanisms that are embedded in those IT systems, in our view as the AGSA, they can easily be overridden, which means that the fund is not necessarily safeguarded, whether internally or externally. So the first aspect is to make sure that you secure your IT environment because that is where your claims and your revenue are actually facilitated. The second aspect is that the compensation fund has to be held accountable at all levels. As the AGSA, when we speak to accountability, we say the people that you brought in the system must be the right caliber, must uphold the principle of ethics. But importantly, the jobs that you had allocated to them have to be executed with excellency. We don't necessarily always agree that that takes place because that speaks to the performance management. But importantly, we also say the role players that speaks to your ministers, that speaks to your portfolio committee, that speaks to your scopers and Parliament, they have to find a better way of holding compensation fund accountable. But all the matters, the indicators of fraud need to be investigated thoroughly.
Quite clearly. Khabo, I think we're going to have to leave it there. I think you've painted a very damning picture of what's happening at the compensation fund. Khabo Komape is the acting head of portfolio at the Auditor General's Office of South Africa.
EWN Business.
Right, business news now. Muteo Kharipe, South Africa's inflation rate soaring to 4% in April. It's the steepest reading since 2024. Not a pretty picture.
No, writing's on the wall, Bongani. I think we might start a hiking cycle with the SARB meeting next week.
No compensation there, hey?
No. The cost of living is continuing to climb at a fast pace in South Africa, with inflation hitting 4% in April. CPI was higher compared to the 3.1% that was recorded in March. Now, this is the highest inflation level since August of 2024 and moves further away from the South African Reserve Bank's 3% target. The biggest increases came from higher housing and utility costs, mainly due to the recent electricity tariff hikes, as well as rising transport costs after petrol prices increased in early April. Now, fuel prices rose by 18.2% from March, feeding through into higher transport costs. The price of Brent crude oil has climbed about 50% since the US and Israel attacked Iran in late February. Some analysts are expecting the SARB to start a rate hiking cycle when they meet for the MPC next week.
Should we just go back to that 3 to 6% bandwidth, the old target?
We're already above that.
3 to 6%.
Yeah, but the midpoint was 4%. So we still would have had a rate hike.
The markets?
Yeah, well, Asia Pacific markets are trading higher this morning, tracking Wall Street gains overnight as growing hopes that the Middle East conflict could end soon cooled oil prices. U.S. President Donald Trump said that Washington was in the final stages of negotiations with Iran, according to a pool report, helping to lift investor optimism. Oil prices have also been seen a sharp rise as the Trump administration and blockades happen on that Strait of Hormuz, but there's been talks of negotiations over the past week, and overnight the price of oil falling on that sentiment.
All right, give us those indicators.
Well, the JSE had a better day yesterday, up 980 points. The rand this morning, 16 rand 48 against the US dollar, 19 rand 16 cents against the euro, 22 rand 13 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $4,531 an ounce, or platinum is lower at $1,936. Brent crude, $105 a barrel. More business after 8.
And here's one, Mateo, before you go away. Why did the bread flatter the man? It was complimentary.
Oh.
But this eyewitness news is not complimentary. It's brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Swiss Zulu.
Thanks, Bongani. Good morning. The Department of Labour says the employment of undocumented foreign nationals remains a problem in the country's construction industry. At least 10 people were arrested yesterday when they failed to produce their documents at a site in Cape Town. Deputy Minister Zoe Mudika, along with Home Affairs, Immigration and Law Enforcement officers, conducted an inspection there yesterday. Department spokesperson Tebogo Tejane.
Construction industry is one of the problematic sectors, and that is why the department is concentrating on. The employers that are appointing undocumented or illegal workers will obviously face charges through Home Affairs, as Home Affairs is responsible for Migration Acts. Therefore, contravention of Migration Act is a serious crime.
The ANC has reshuffled its Gauteng leadership and appointed Panyaza Lesufi as the party's provincial convener. Lesufi replaces veteran Amos Masondo. The Provincial Executive Committee was disbanded last year following the party's poor performance in the 2024 elections. The ANC in Gauteng was forced into a coalition government, which now includes the EFF, to retain power. ANC National Spokesperson Mahleng Bengwa.
They have been given marching orders, including going to the ground, interacting with our councillors, multiplying high-impact service delivery initiatives, such as what we are seeing as we are cleaning Johannesburg. And we've urged them to learn from those best lessons.
Western Cape Premier Ellen Windy says urgent funding is needed to help communities affected by recent storms. 2 cold fronts triggered widespread flooding that claimed 11 lives in the province. The Premier's calls follows the classification of a provincial disaster to help recover from the storms. Ntutuzelo Nene has more.
A formal provincial disaster declaration by the National Disaster Management Centre is expected to unlock additional funding for emergency relief and recovery efforts in the Western Cape. Premier Ellen Windy says government must adopt a more proactive approach to disaster planning and infrastructure spending.
We need to make sure that we don't only have the ability to respond quicker and more frequently, but also how do we budget for building back better? How do we build like we built the bridge in Citrusdale, which this time did not wash away?
Ndutuzelo Nene, Eyewitness News.
And economists warn that while government has subsidized rising fuel, the retail hard work, or the real hard work, lies in long-term proactive measures. Statistics South Africa yesterday announced that inflation increased to 4%, up from 3.1% last month, signaling the effects of the Middle East conflict. The rise in the cost of goods and services was mostly driven by sharp fuel increases due to Iran closing the key Strait of Hormuz in retaliation for US and Israeli February strikes. Some of the biggest drivers of inflation were accommodation and household expenses, services, as well as insurance and financial services. National Treasury extended fuel levy to next month to offset the rising fuel prices. Chief Economist at Momentum Investment, Sanisha Pakarisamy, says these measures are short-term.
And this has all got to do with the duration of the conflict and how long the oil price stays high for. If we take into account what government has mentioned on what they are likely to subsidize consumers up until the end of June, that will be around 17.2 billion. And as we know, the fiscal dynamics have improved. We are sitting with a primary balance surplus at the moment. However, the debt level still is quite high, and we still have to act with fiscal prudence.
A cloudy day in store for Gauteng today. The temperatures are at lows of 4 and 7 degrees, peaking at highs between 18 and 20.
And in the traffic, we've got an accident in Alberton along the R59 North near Swartkoppies Road, causing delays. There's also queuing traffic along the N1 North. This is just as you approach the Albertina Sisulu off-ramp. Please be on the lookout there. An accident reported there.
The top story this hour, the Department of Labour says the employment of undocumented foreign nationals remains a problem in the construction industry.
If your gym was becoming too expensive, you'd switch, right? So why pay more for car insurance? Switching to Outsurance saved 43-year-old Gloria an unbelievable 513 Rand on her 2024 Audi Q3. Get a quote now, and if Outsurance can't save you money, ask them for 500 Rand or 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free with the same insurer for 3 years. Do it now. SMS out to 45142. So that's out to 45142. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP. T's and C's and information online.
Looking for a stylish SUV that fits your life and your budget? Barron's are offering the Volkswagen T-Cross Life from just $4,990 per month. Packed with smart tech, bold design, and the versatility to take you anywhere, from weekday commutes to weekend escapes. And right now, it's never been more accessible. $4,990 per month? Yes, really. Available for a limited time at Barron's Woodmead and Barron's Broomer. Barron's, the Volkswagen people.
Switching to Outsurance Business Insurance was a quick process. I saved a lot of money.
Outsurance Business Insurance clients know that it pays to switch. And did you know you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium when you switch? For boutique hotels, catering companies, and all other businesses. Get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
The Wits School of Governance develops leaders and innovators, those who reimagine governance, strengthen institutions, and drive inclusive growth. Apply now for postgraduate diplomas, masters, PhD programs, and executive education. We equip change makers to lead boldly and with purpose. Governance matters. Choose WSG to shape the future. Visit wsg.ac.za before 31st May.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Good morning, Bongani. It's been proved that elements of the compensation fund can be outsourced to private institutions. There are two such institutions that do the work that the compensation does for specific industries, obviously. The question is, if that model works to privatize elements of the compensation fund, and the compensation fund to its core, it's so rotten, why doesn't the entire business get outsourced completely? Yusuf from Johannesburg.
Good morning, Bongani. Hi. No, the rot is deep. The rot is deep. I'm a business owner. I have dealt with the compensation fund for more than 20 years. And in the last 2 years, the services have gone down. It's you hardly ever find a sort of answer, especially when it comes to your COIDA and submitting the COIDA. I mean, everything is a mess. I just wonder. We don't know which department is not compromised, because I don't know. Maybe we don't know, but it looks like all departments in government are compromised and there's money missing. Now from Vanderbilt.
I'm a Bongani Joe report. What about the 200 billion, which is missing from the government employees pension fund? The president says they lost the money due to the Iranian war in emerging markets. Now, if you look at StatStretch, they have emerging market funds that are doing very well. There's nothing wrong with the emerging market funds. We need to ask, where is that 200 billion rand?
Hi, good morning, Bongani. Just listening to you for the last, not even the whole morning, just for the last 20 minutes. It's so sickening what's happening in the country. It's not even funny anymore. I know we like to joke or make jokes about serious situations, but now you're talking about the Workmen's Compensation Fund. It's also being looted. It's sickening to the core. I actually feel like I want to puke in my car. I feel like I want to vomit with the level of corruption, and it breaks down one's spirit. You on your way to work, having to face challenges at work, providing for your family, but when you just switch on the radio, it's just stealing. Everything is missing.
What is the word for today? The word for today is missing. It is missing. Everything is missing. Money is missing. Dockets are missing. Drugs are missing. Everything is missing. Word for today, missing.
Well, the Minister of Labour doesn't seem to see it that way. This is Minister Nomakosazana Meth, who in a written reply to a question about the compensation fund just last month said, in fact, the fund, and I quote now, is now operating on a sustainable and improved footing, both financially and operationally. It is no longer operating in a recovery phase. While the fund previously experienced historical governance, systems and operational weaknesses, these conditions have been stabilized. Just last month, that's how the Minister of Labour saw the compensation fund. Contrast that, if you will, with what you heard from the Auditor General's office earlier today.
702.
What's the question?
What's the question is brought to you by Outsurance, a chance for you to win up to 3,000 Rand in cash. So first we'll give you 1,000 Rand for the answer, and then a little later 2,000 Rand if you can give us the question. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, ask Outsurance for 500 Rand. Today's answer comes from Tanda. Tanda, you're in Hyde Park, I understand. Please give us today's answer.
Hi, Bongani. Good morning.
Good morning, Tanda.
Yes, the answer is 24.
24. Tell me, Tanda,
Yes.
have you got yourself a quote from Outsurance?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, I am.
New biscuit, 1,000 Rand is coming your way. Tanda in Hyde Park says the answer is 24. And for his troubles, Outsurance will give him 1,000 Rand. All right, do tell us, what's the question then? If the answer is 24, what might the question be? Call us now on 011 883 0702.
EWN Sport.
All right, things are looking up for English football. Cindy Paluta.
Absolutely.
The Villains very happy this morning.
They're another team celebrating. They beat Freiburg 3-0 to win the Europa League, lifting their first bit of silverware in 30 years. Goals last night from Telemans, Bondia and Rogers. Aston Villa goalkeeper Emiliano Martinez revealing after the match he played the whole game with a broken finger, picking up the injury in the warm-up. For manager Unai Emery, it's his 5th Europa League trophy. Here's goal scorer Telemans.
Yeah, listen, it's been amazing. We've been on an incredible journey with this team for 3 years in a row. We were in Europe, Conference League, Champions League. We missed out. And this season to get the trophy in Europa League is amazing.
Southampton tried to appeal their championship playoff expulsion but failed. Southampton was found guilty of spying on other clubs but argued the sanction was disproportionate. It means this Saturday Middlesbrough will play Hull City for a place in the Premier League. In tennis, the French Open starts Sunday. Players have gone on strike. Leading players plan to limit their pre-tournament media commitments to 15 minutes in protest at the prize money on offer. Players say they'll walk out of press conferences that go over 15 minutes. The limit symbolizes the 15% of revenue which the Grand Slams allocate to prize money.
I mean, I heard that at 7 o'clock and I thought, as you say, it starts on Sunday. What are the players unhappy about?
So they're saying, in terms of how much revenue the French Open makes, the amount of money that goes to the prize winners is only 15% of that.
Of the total revenue.
Yeah, and the other Grand Slams, it's a bit higher. I think it's 20 or 25. So they're saying, okay, we're not sure of which players are going to do this yet, but they're saying anything pre-media that goes over 15 minutes, we're walking out of.
Goodness me. It's going to make it all the more interesting. Because
Well, they're right.
Now we're going to watch.
They're right. Would you have a tournament if the players weren't there?
Yeah.
Right? It's Power Week 2 of the Telkom Netball League. It comes to Ellis Park Arena in Johannesburg from tomorrow morning. Going into the upcoming matches, the Crinums are top of the table, ahead of the Gauteng Jaguars, the defending champions, the Fireballs, needing to fight from 4th place. And at the IPL, the Kolkata Knight Riders beat the Mumbai Indians by 4 wickets, chasing down 148 with an over to spare. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Now, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. You could save on your car insurance if you don't ask them for 500 Rand at 7:45. What's happening in Pretoria? I'm on lots of traffic there.
Indeed, Bongani, we've got delays on the N14 North coming out of the Braakfontein interchange. There's also queuing traffic on the N1 North between John Foster Drive and the Flying Saucer interchange. That's due to an accident there. While traveling on the N14 East between the Braakfontein turnoff and the R55, please be on the lookout for peak time delays there. Your best route, especially if you're heading towards Centurion, is to use the R55. If you're traveling on the Mark 1 South, heading towards Sandton, do expect delays coming out of the Baku interchange. There's also queuing traffic along Waterfontein Road. This is just as you approach the N3 due to an accident. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Outsurance Pointsman can't help you beat your personal best, but they can help you get to the gym on time. Seeing them on your route just makes you feel better, doesn't it? The Outsurance Pointsmen have been easing traffic congestion so everyone gets to where they need to be quickly and safely, and they've been doing it for 20 years. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Weekend Breakfast with Googs Mshungu.
702 Weekend Breakfast is about switching gears after what's usually a very busy week. We keep you informed, we keep you on trend, what's happening, what's new, what's delicious, what's fascinating, and keep you company as you rest at the end of the week. What I love most about the 702 family and 702 land is we're this interesting motley crew of people, this diverse group of people from all over the country, all over the world, and we all come together and it makes for this interesting, fascinating family. And I don't think you can find a more diverse, interested, a more engaged listenership than people who are part of the 702 family and 702 land. And so they listen to us to be their guide to the weekend because they trust Weekend Breakfast.
702 Weekend Breakfast with Googs Mshungu from 6 to 10 a.m.
That's Amanda before she got naked. When the power tripped, Amanda felt more helpless than when her mom-in-law called her lasagna different. So Amanda got naked. She got car and home insurance at a lower premium and can now call an electrician anytime via the Naked app. There we go. Cover your car and home now at naked.insure and see how easy insurance can be when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
Out there? Why would you want to go out there? People are out there. People with their phones on speaker are out there. Strangers are out there. And worse, people you know but whose names you can't remember are out there. Winter living is designed for staying in, especially with Decofurn's red-hot markdowns on our coziest furniture like armchairs and couches. Plus, you never have to go out there with loads of stock and speedy delivery now at decofurnsa.co.za.
We're calling on Joburg to walk the inner city with us. In 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Babize bonke. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
It's time to get revved up. The Motor Select Rev Up sale is on, and we've got thousands of quality pre-owned vehicles at unbeatable prices. That's everything from city cars to 4x4s. Offer ends 30 June, so get to motorselect.co.za now.
702.
What's the question?
For 2,000 Rand in cash, all thanks to Outsurance. Please tell me, what's the question? If the answer is 24. Let's go to Loiso in Lenasia. Loiso, what's the question?
At what age did the Notorious B.I.G. unfortunately pass away?
Yeah, he was killed though, wasn't he? Hey? He was killed.
Yes,
Yeah, still an unsolved crime. He was 24 years old. That's what I can't get over. It is his birthday today. Loiso, congratulations. You have won 2,000 Rand in cash, all thanks to Outsurance and 702.
Detroit players. Tim's for my hooligans in Brooklyn. Dead right, Biggie there every night. Papa been smooth since days of under rules. Never lose, never choose to. Bruce Cruz who? Do something to us. Talk go through us. Girls want to us, wanna do us. Who us? Yeah, Papa and Plum. Close like Starsky and Hutch. Stick to clutch. Yeah, I squeeze 3 at your cherry M3. Bang every MC easily. Easily. Recently, frontin' ain't saying nothing, so I just speak my peace. Speak my peace. Cubans with the Jesus peace.
Who's hot, who not? Tell me who rock, who sell out in the stores. You tell me who flop, who cop the blue drop, who jewels got blocks, who's mostly dope down to the blue top. The same old pimp, Mace, you know ain't nothing changed but my limp. Can't stop till I see my name on the blimp. Guarantee me and shells full of level up. You don't believe in Harlem World? Double up. We don't play around, it's a bet, lay it down. Didn't know me 91, bet they know me now. I'm the young Harlem with the Goldie sound. Can't no get deep. Hold me down, cooler, school me to the game, now I know my duty. Stay humble, stay low, blow like Woody. True pimp, spin no dough on the booty. When you yell, there go Mace, there go your cutie.
See me die than to see me fly. I call all the shots, rip all the spots, rock all the rocks, cop all the drops.
Yeah, this album is dedicated to all the teachers that told me I never amount to nothing. To all the people that lived above the buildings that I was hustling from that called the police on me when I was just trying to make some money to feed my daughter.
Yeah.
And to all my peoples in the struggle, you know what I'm saying? It's all good, baby.
Shake it.
It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine. Salt and Pepper and Heavy D up in the limousine. Hanging pictures on my wall. Every Saturday, rap attack Mr. Magic Molly Mall. I let my tape rock to my tape pop. Smoking the bamboo, sipping on private stock. Way back when I had the red and black lumberjack with the hat to match. Remember rapping Duke? The hard, you never thought that hip hop would take it this far. Now I'm in the limelight cause I rhyme tight. Time to get paid, blow up like the world trade. Born sinner, the opposite of a winner. Remember when I used to eat sardines for dinner? Peace to Ron G, Brucey B, Kid Capri. Funk Master Flex, Love Bug, Star Ski. I'm blowing up like you thought I would. Call a crib, same number, same hood. It's all good. And if you don't know, now you know, you know, you know.
Very well who you are. Money hold. Don't let them hold you down. Bank. Reach for the stars. You gotta
I made this change from a common thief to up close and personal with Robin Leach and a
Options can't improve your golf handicap, but they could improve the car insurance premium you currently pay. Get a quote today, and if Outsurance can't save you money on your car insurance premium, ask for 500 Rand cash. Make that 1,500 Rand if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. Get a quote and get savings or cash. Either way, you win. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Outsurance. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
Did you know that you are entitled to buy a new, demo, or used car without a service or a maintenance plan? You can also use an independent workshop for all servicing and maintenance needs without your warranty being automatically voided. Independent workshops are entitled to all technical info and parts needed to work on your vehicle, so you can shop around for the best price and service. Right to Repair. It's your choice. Visit righttorepair.org.za.
It's that time of the year. Sore throats, congestion, wet and dry coughs, pain and fever. For trusted relief for you and your family, ask your pharmacist to recommend a winter survival pack from the Adcock Ingram OTC range. With products like Medikil A, Expigen, Corenza Parac, Adconapamol, Dilinct Junior and more, we have you covered this winter. Remember, Adcock Ingram OTC, sponsors of Brave.
Let's hear from Chantal and Mel, owners of Jelly Body and Nail Studio, why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance.
We were with our previous insurer for about 4 years, and when we decided to switch, it was actually a flawless process. It definitely pays to switch.
For beauty salons, convenience stores, and all other businesses, get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
702
702. What's gone viral?
with Kabazela.
Catch up now with the world of viral content. Kabazela.
Good morning to you, Bella.
Did you get the message?
And sometimes we do, and sometimes we don't, right? And the reason we're asking about messages, or perhaps subliminal messages, is this ex-post that I came across by Randy Waka Nsula. So basically what he posts here is a picture of a Pampers Nappies box, and inside the Nappers Pampy box is a whole bunch of Avos, beautiful green Avos, that his sister had sent him. And he had run out of Avos, and the sister said, no, don't worry, I'll send you more from home. And so she decided to send them in the Pampers box. But now the other thing that's worth noting here on this box is once the box was closed and she wrapped it with tape, she used IEC branded tape. Now, I don't know where on earth she got IEC branded tape from. I'm sure you and I and everybody else doesn't have IEC branded tape lying around the house. So people have picked up here, maybe she's sending him a subliminal message like, have more babies and remember to vote at the end of the year. I don't know, but that's what people are picking up here on this story. So I wanted to ask our 702 family bongles about subliminal messages. Have you ever tried to send somebody a message to get them to do something without being direct about it? Or have you been on the receiving end of a subliminal message where you eventually picked it up that they wanted you to do something or persuade you to go in a certain direction or do something? I'd love to hear some funny stories this morning.
Yeah, no, I think I'm one of those people. Tell it to me direct.
Yeah, me too.
Don't hint, or you're going to be a very miserable person. Particularly if there's an important thing you need me to do. Rather, say it up, straight up. Don't beat about the bush. Tell it to me directly.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of us don't, hey? I mean, what is so wrong about being direct with what you want to ask or want somebody to do? And I mean, I suppose it comes down to the way in which you ask or do it or say it, right?
Yep. All right. Are you one of those people who tries to send subtle messages, and are they always received as you intended them? And how do you make somebody read or interpret that subtle message?
702
702.
Feedback with Baphelile Sambo.
It's just easier to
It
be
is
straight up, right?
Yeah. They say straight up doesn't break any friendship, or the straight talk doesn't break any friendship.
All right, what other feedback do you have?
Bongani, following the discussion with the DA's Leah Potgieter on the proposed name changes, 702 lenders feel that public views were not properly considered during the public participation process. They argue that it feels like government is going ahead regardless, which makes the process feel like more of a tick box exercise than real consultation.
See, what I don't understand is if they're trying to say, let's redress the imbalances of the past, why wouldn't you rather then go to names that are already
that
in
people know,
use?
yes.
Right? Names that every resident of that town will know that, yes, it may formally be called this, but informally everyone knows it to be that.
Just formalize
Instead of then politicizing at times some of these name changes, they're not always inclusive, are they? But on the other hand, someone will also argue historically there were names for these places before the times of the colonial period or even under apartheid. So why not revert back to those?
And Keith on WhatsApp also raised concern about the cost of changing names, including road signs, maps, branding, and is asking whether government can really afford this given the pressure on service delivery, infrastructure, and jobs.
Isn't it funny how the province that seems to deliver the least is so obsessed about name changes?
And following our big interview with Khabo Komampe from the Auditor General of South Africa on losses at the Compensation Fund, alongside WhatsApps that we received from some listeners calling for its privatization and concerns about long delays, we have some lenders asking for contact details to reach the fund. They want to submit some claims, and we did find some contact details. So if you want to reach them out, you can call them on 0800 321 322. That's 0800 321 322. Or email them at cf- or if you may hyphen complaints@labour.gov.za.
All right. I would like to hear from people who've been able to make successful claims from the compensation fund. The stories I'm seeing is a lot of people saying they had to submit documents, resubmit the same documents. The process sort of stays in a state of limbo, and they're uncertain about what their claims will come to. More of your reactions on those stories. Right now, it's 8 o'clock.
This is EWN.
The electricity minister sends a strong warning to Joburg about its debt to Eskom, and the EFF continues with its fight with the finance minister over the fuel levy. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Electricity Minister Josian Ramokgopa has warned of serious consequences if Eskom and the city of Joburg fail to resolve the metro's 5.2 billion rand debt. The utility has threatened to cut power to several bulk supply points in the city. Ramokgopa says Joburg's debt is concerning because of the metro's economic importance. Kosikona Malingamnisi reports.
Josian Ramokgopa says the city of Joburg and Eskom must deal with each other as debtor and creditor, warning that a breakdown in relations could have devastating consequences. The minister says he will again bring both parties to the table after a previous agreement failed when the city did not meet its commitments. Ramokgopa has also pledged support to strengthen the city's power entity and improve its management of the energy network.
The principal problem we're sitting with here is the hemorrhaging of technical skills at the city power. It's a basic understanding of how this system works, this very complex system works. So some of your most experienced and talented engineers have left. So what we're doing is that we bring this capacity into city power.
Joburg Mayor Dara Morero says the city will not dispute the debt, but will work with the minister and Eskom to find a solution. Or see Kwana Malingamnisi, Eyewitness News.
The EFF says it has no choice but to challenge the fuel levy increase announced by Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana to protect the poor and the most vulnerable. The party was back in the Western Cape High Court yesterday to fight the increase, which will see the levy going up by 9 cents per litre for petrol and 8 cents for diesel. The Red Berets argued that the increase is a revenue-generating tax and the minister cannot announce the move without going through Parliament. Godongwana announced the increase during his budget speech in February. EFF MP Nazir Paulson adds that consumer inflation rising to 4% also supports their argument on how the levy will impact South Africans.
We are the representatives of the people that would be affected by a fuel levy increase. It would have a far-reaching implications. Increase in travelling costs, increase in commodities, foodstuff, household goods. It will just increase the cost of living for all South Africans, especially the poor and working class.
The magistrate in the case against a Soweto church leader accused of raping a 12-year-old child says there's still no final decision on whether the matter will be tried in the High Court or Regional Court. The 58-year-old appeared in the Roodepoort Magistrates Court yesterday, where the case was postponed to July. He's facing charges including rape and kidnapping after he allegedly lured the young girl to his house in Dobsonville and sexually assaulted her. The man is currently in custody after abandoning bail. Magistrate Thelma Simpson says the state is currently awaiting crucial forensic evidence, including DNA results, toxicology reports, and outstanding video footage.
But for now, they have the docket and will obviously control the process of further investigations. You've heard also that the evidence and everything that will later be relevant in this case were submitted for forensic analysis, and that we specifically await the DNA results.
And British leader Keir Starmer has defended a contentious move to ease sanctions on imports of Russian jet fuel and diesel as the Middle East war causes prices to spiral. But opposition parties heavily criticized the trade license, which allows the UK to import Russian crude oil refined in third countries such as India. Starmer, in a call with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky last night, assured him that as a result of the UK's actions so far, there will be less Russian oil on the market, with Russia weaker as a result. The UK had announced in October it would ban imports derived from Russian crude, part of a push to cut off revenue funding Russia's war in Ukraine. But Starmer now says the government was issuing 2 targeted short-term licenses to phase a new sanction in and to protect UK consumers. Gold is trading at $4,543.79 an ounce. The rand is at 16.47 to the dollar, 22.13 to the pound, 19.16 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $105.74 a barrel.
And in the traffic, there's been an accident on Modderfontein Road approaching the N3. It is causing heavy traffic volumes. There's also queuing traffic on the N3 North between the Marlborough Drive exit and the Kelvin area. Please be on the lookout there.
And in your sport, Aston Villa's Europa League win books them a Champions League spot. The DR Congo national team has been cleared for FIFA World Cup travel despite US Ebola restrictions. And top tennis players start protests ahead of the French Open. That starts this Sunday.
A cloudy day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 19 and 20 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Electricity Minister Hossein Suramugopa has warned of serious consequences if Eskom and the city of Joburg fail to resolve the metro's 5.2 billion rand debt.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
On Sunday, 26 July, 7:02 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk unites us all in the iconic Joburg CBD.
7:02
Walk the Talk. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
7 minutes after 8 o'clock, you're listening to 702 Breakfast. My name is Bongani Bingwa. It's great to be in your company. So much going on in the country at the moment, but any resident of Johannesburg has to be seriously concerned about the spat between the city and Eskom. Electricity Minister now warning of serious consequences if that is not resolved. You remember the Mayor of Johannesburg, Tad Mulan, has said he's appealed to the Electricity Minister and that there is a discussion behind the scenes that will avert a crisis. Yesterday was 365 days, a full year without load shedding. Imagine the horror Joburg residents might face having paid their bills to find themselves plunged into darkness because that money never made it to Eskom.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
One of the big international stories, of course, is the detainment of around 450 activists. They were on board 50 different vessels taking part in a flotilla attempting to reach Gaza. The flotilla aimed to deliver humanitarian aid and draw global attention to Israel's maritime blockade on Gaza. These, of course, were activists who say they were detained by the Israeli military in international waters, and there have been videos circulating of them detained by Israeli forces and really photographed and videographed in the most appalling conditions. But firstly, have a listen to CBC News correspondent Cameron McIntosh describing exactly how they were detained.
Israeli forces today detaining about 450 activists on 50 different ships that were participating in this flotilla that was trying to reach Gaza with the intent of delivering aid and a broader attempt to draw attention into Israel's maritime blockade of Gaza, which has been in effect since 2007. This was posted by the National Security Minister, Itmar Ben-Gvir. In it, you see him push down the head of one of the detainees. He goes on to mock others. There's also shots in the video of detainees bound on an Israeli ship with the Israeli national anthem playing. Now, this is getting a lot of response. Let's start here with Israel, where the Foreign Affairs Minister, and keep in mind the Israeli government is made up of a coalition of several parties. All the ministers don't belong to the same party. But the Foreign Affairs Minister posting on X that Ben-Gvir's actions were disgraceful and damaging to Israel. Ben-Gvir then accused the Foreign Affairs Minister of being sympathetic to Hamas.
Well, the Irish, they call him a Taoiseach. A Taoiseach, this is a Gaelic word for the leader of government in Ireland. The Prime Minister, Michael Martin, has condemned the treatment of these activists detained by Israeli authorities. Remember that video that has been circulating of the Security Minister of Israel, Ben-Gvir, showing these detainees restrained. They've got them on bended knee with their hands tied behind their backs, but their faces reaching the ground. And it's the most humiliating position for these activists, and they are forced by the troops to be in this position. The Irish Prime Minister, Michael Martin, condemning the treatment of the activists.
This is continued unacceptable behaviour by Israel, generally completely out of step with and in breach of international humanitarian law. It's disgusting behaviour. It's disgraceful. It's a blight on the Israeli government, and other European leaders are likewise calling this out. And I will, at European Union level, seek to get a broader agreement, particularly in terms of the European Union-Israeli Association Agreement. That it's no longer tenable, that it would be business as usual with Israel. Given its scant regard for European Union citizens, the right to protest is a sacred one within any democracy. The flotilla was in international waters, and people were essentially abducted by the Israeli government on the high seas, have been brought to detention locations. Our immediate objective is to get Irish citizens released as quickly as possible. Our ambassador and our consular officials are working on that. They have not yet had sight of our citizens or have had any access to them as of yet.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
7:02 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
Are you a direct person in your relationship, in your friendships, or are you one of those who hints? And do your hints always get read in the way you intended? Just say it up straight. Or are there scenarios where you have to lead, particularly your significant other, in the right direction? Amo?
Well, I've learned to be a straight talker. Hints don't work in my house. They never, ever really work. So you just have to
If
be
you want
straightforward.
that present,
Yeah.
if you want that outfit,
Yes,
that
I have to
perfume.
say it. I need this kind of a shoe. This is what I would appreciate for a present, or otherwise I will not even get a single thing.
Mateo?
Sure, there are other far more pressing issues. But anyway, I think it depends on the situation, Bongani. Sometimes it's great to be a straight talker. Something is urgent and you need to deal with it very quickly. Sure, be a straight talker. Sometimes there's a lot of sensitivities and you might trigger someone or even get them very, very emotional. So you tread carefully.
So here's a question. How good are you at reading the hints? Have you got into trouble before because you didn't read the hint?
Oh, yes, of course.
Yo, Uncle Wongs, now that you mentioned this, I had a friend that suffered from halitosis back in varsity. And yeah, now and then, like, people will like talk not so nice things about him. So I'd offer him sweets now and then. But guess what? He will always say no. And like, it was so difficult to be upfront and direct and say, dude, a lot of people are complaining about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, no, I cannot be direct with anyone. And unfortunately, people cannot understand whenever I send those subliminal messages to them. I'm going to be anonymous on this one.
Yeah, best you keep it that way, hey? Shame, man. bad breath.
Such a hard thing to do.
Yeah, but that's why you have to be straight. Imagine the
You
amount
will
of
tell
sweets
someone-
you have to buy.
You will tell someone, who the
Bongani-
reason I offer you these sweets is because...
No, at that point you've bought so many mints, you cannot anymore. Your pocket cannot afford anymore.
Well,
Save
the guy wasn't-
yourself.
The guy wasn't taking...
Exactly, because you're not
hints.
being upfront. I'm not about to eat sugar. I don't want to eat sugar or
Wasn't-
sugary things.
Wasn't taking the hints.
Mm-mm.
Would you like a mint, Amo?
Mm-mm.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
14 after 8, RMB Africa Focus is brought to you by RMB, a leading African corporate and investment bank. Today, our focus is on the evolving relationship between China and Africa and what a new era of trade and investment could mean for the continent. We are, of course, bringing the 5th season of RMB Africa Focus, and the idea is to explore the continent's economic resilience and strategic role in the global economy. And as always, we're in conversation with the award-winning journalist Crystal Alderson. Crystal, we were face-to-face a week ago, not so much today, but nonetheless the conversation continues. So let's start with what has happened since the start of this month, the introduction of China's zero tariff policy on African economies. Will this provide the commercial oxygen the continent needs?
Good morning, Bongani. I think it will. Who can forget those images that our own Agriculture Minister, John Steenhuisen, posted of those apples from South Africa arriving in China. Also, Kenya boasting about their avos arriving, and Uganda with their pineapples. We also saw Egypt and Morocco taking full advantage of it. But we're looking at the numbers, Bongani, and we see China-Africa trade hit a record $348 billion in 2025, and that marked about an 18% increase, with China maintaining its position as our largest trading partner. And so we see with the zero tariff policy, of course, we're going to see exports boosting. And I think it really comes at a time when we see this fragmentation and we see protectionism, especially from the US, arising. So African governments have, of course, welcomed this market access, because what we see with the US tariffs and the impact that's already had on certain African nations, I think China wants to really position itself as this reliable trading partner in Africa. And if we look at the countries, Bongani, we see at the moment Angola is a large exporter, that's oil, then followed by the Democratic Republic of Congo. We see copper and cobalt. We also see Zambia copper, and then South Africa with minerals and agricultural goods. And those numbers and I think goods are bound to increase over the coming months, Bongani.
All right. I mean, one of the conversations we must have is around infrastructure, particularly, of course, when it comes to how the continent, I suppose, can draw lessons from China. Many of our economies are operating in silos, whereas, of course, China operates as a unit. One of the challenges is perhaps aligning our strategies to make sure that there's adequate infrastructure. Are the Chinese helping with that?
Bongani, and that's exactly what economists are also saying. If we as Africa don't get our house in order, which means around infrastructure, getting our goods to the ports, engaging with China to say, look, we have X, but we need Y. Let's talk about this. And I was in conversation with the RMB CEO, Erwin Pon, who's actually based in China, and he's on the ground. And he told me that it's time that we also, as Africa, move out of our silos and actually really take advantage of how we can benefit from this, firstly, the zero tariff, but also around the infrastructure projects. Let's have a listen to what he had to say.
So as an example, you try build a smelter, but the smelter can't operate effectively without power. The smelter can't operate effectively if you cannot export your processed goods without the rail, without the capacity, without the ports, really linking all of that. So now how Africa can partner really with China is around this infrastructure development that links all these pieces together. We need to be able to link the power, the infrastructure, the smelters, the refineries, etc., get it onto the rail that goes to the port, and then the offtake on the other side. That's when it all works. And now, as I said, with the tariffs, you've just got a better margin now and a better ability now to invest, to make it make sense for you to develop and invest in that type of system across that, and really connecting all these infrastructure and businesses together.
The other conversation, of course, Crystal, that we must have is around how African nations, even though they may benefit from Chinese largesse in a sense, this creates anxiety, particularly around debt. How is that being handled?
Well, we know that countries like Zambia and Ethiopia have really, it's been a struggle around debt, and it's made Chinese investors quite nervous. Because according to some data, we saw that, for instance, Chinese loans to African countries amounted to close to $62 billion. And that was public and private and public debt. And we see Kenya tops the list of those African countries with the largest Chinese loans. And then it's Ethiopia. And we also saw that China invested heavily in other countries like Angola and Nigeria and Egypt. And so what's happened is that we have grown our debt with China, and now China is becoming quite nervous in terms of when are they getting their money back. And there's also a bit of pressure given Chinese and their own domestic market of when these loans will be paid. When I asked the RMB CEO around that, he said, look, Chinese banks are now looking at local banks, including RMB, to help them structure deals so that at least there's an understanding of X country, this is the local conditions that are taking place. Let's restructure the debt so that countries don't default. And so I think there's a real sense now that yes, debt is a reality. Countries are struggling to repay. There is nervousness from Chinese banks and investors, but they are now using local banks, local African banks like RMB to say, you are on the ground, restructure this debt so that essentially countries do pay. So I think, again, making use of African knowledge, African economists, African bankers are now, to some extent, Bongani, calming the nerves of Chinese investors.
Crystal Alderson with this morning's episode of Africa Focus. And you can watch an in-depth RMB Africa Focus video series, and you can get that on primemediaplus.com. And it's brought to you by RMB, a leading African corporate and investment bank.
EWN Traffic.
22 after 8, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by the House of Citroen. The all-new Citroen Basalt is here. Book a test drive at citroen.co.za. Amo?
Bongani, there's been an accident on the N3 North in the Alexandra area. It happened right near Vincent Chabalala Road. It's causing delays from Modderfontein Road. While traveling along Modderfontein Road, do be on the lookout for another accident scene that happened out of Van Riebeek Road. It's also causing some delays there. While traveling on the N12 West in the Benoni area, we've got delays approaching the R21. That's due to an accident. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The all-new Citroen Basalt is here with keyless entry, wireless Apple and Android CarPlay. It's made to look good and make life easy. And that 470-litre boot, it's ready for every outfit change and then some. The all-new Citroen Basalt Coupe SUV from 354,000 Rand. Register now for the limited launch deal assist of up to 40,000 Rand. Book a test drive today at citroen.co.za. T's and C's apply.
702, The World View.
With Adam Gilchrist.
Right, let's catch up with news from elsewhere in the world. Adam, it was Donald Trump who was in Beijing just a few days ago, and the Chinese have rolled out the red carpet for yet another head of state.
Yeah, they've done a bit of shake and vac and got the carpet back out, and there it is for Vladimir Putin. Although it was a very brief visit, to be honest. It wasn't the 2-day full pomp and circumstance, but there were still fanfares and parades and other things for Vladimir Putin. They talked trade and tech. Apparently, Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping signed 20 agreements on trade and technology, as well as a declaration on a multipolar world order. Multipolar, does that mean they're taking the North and South Poles? I'm not quite sure what that entirely means. It's a tad worrying maybe for all of the rest of us. The big one is a gas pipeline, which is, we're told, absolutely now full speed ahead to run from Siberia through Mongolia into China, which will be a big one. And also it'll tie the two economically together for quite some time. Is that a good or bad thing? I guess world leaders are falling over themselves to go and visit Xi Jinping and agree something. So I suppose it's not a surprise that first Donald Trump and then Vladimir Putin, and who will be next? Probably Narendra Modi or your president or my prime minister. I mean, it's entirely possible that Xi Jinping will keep hosting and doing deals.
Whoever your prime minister might be, Adam, but let's not go
at
there.
the time.
Yeah, let's not go there. This is now an awful story coming out of Croatia. Tell me about human safari hunts.
Yeah, there have been sort of rumors about this and the odd story written about this ever since the end of the 1990s. And what it's about is that during the whole, what was then Yugoslav civil war, what became the Bosnian War, that there were indeed tourists who paid to shoot at civilians from the hilltops around Sarajevo. So we're talking in the 1990s. The siege of Sarajevo was going on. These so-called sniper tours were being staged. We know that Italy has already launched an investigation into 2 potential Italian tourists who took part in this activity. Now prosecutors in Croatia have opened an investigation. They haven't exactly named who's who, but at this stage they've suggested it might be an Austrian citizen and another as yet unidentified individual. Alma Zadic, who's a Bosnian-born member of the Austrian Green Party, has said the idea that people paid money to deliberately shoot at civilians, even at children, is unimaginably cruel. It's something that we absolutely need some justice on. That could happen. Human safaris, not that long ago in Europe. Yeah, scary.
Yeah, I mean, it's horrible for animals. Adam, let's talk about an icy reception for an envoy who, you might argue, was green with envy.
Yeah, Jeff Landry, who turned up in Greenland, the governor of Louisiana. The climate change aspect, you go from Louisiana to Greenland, you'd shiver a little bit. At least he didn't do the J.D. Vance thing. Remember him when he landed in Nuuk? It's cold as here, and nobody told me. I mean, who'd have thought Greenland would be a bit chilly when he landed, J.D. Vance. Jeff Landry didn't do that, but when he was asked, why are you here? He said, to build relationships, to look, listen and learn, given that President Trump, his mate, absolutely wants to acquire, we're told, Greenland by hook or by crook. But he was persistently asked, was Landry. He got a cool reception and that constant question, no, really, why are you here? And paraphrasing, Jeff Landry replied, because I like people. I want to make friends. All words to that effect.
How many did he make, I wonder? Adam Gilchrist with this morning's Worldview.
EWN Business.
27 minutes after 8 o'clock. Let's catch up now with business news. Muteo Kharipe, you're not green with envy, but you do like people.
I love people, Bongani. We start here now. A consortium led by the Public Investment Corporation is bidding to buy the property firm Baldwin for R4.35 a share. The offer values Baldwin at about 2.2 billion rand and represents a 41% premium compared to the company's average share price at the moment. Baldwin Properties could be delisted from the JSE if the deal does go through. Now, Brooks, Gray and GRE Africa collectively own just over 50% of Baldwin. If the deal proceeds, the new company will be called Bidco, and that will acquire Baldwin. The PIC, acting on behalf of the Government Employees Pension Fund, will become a major long-term shareholder alongside existing management. Now, Baldwin completed its 100th development in 2025 and currently builds between 2,000 and 3,000 apartments each year across Gauteng, the Western Cape and KwaZulu-Natal. In other stories now, the cost of living is continuing to climb in South Africa at a very, very fast pace. with inflation rising sharply, reaching 4% in April. CPI was higher compared to the 3.1% recorded in March. This is the highest inflation level seen since August of 2024 and moves further away from the South African Reserve Bank's 3% target. Of course, pushed up by those fuel prices, which rose 18.2% from March, feeding through into higher transport costs in the country. The price of Brent crude oil has climbed over 50% since the US and Israel attacked Iran in late February. Some analysts expecting the SARB then to start the rate hiking cycle next week. The rand at this hour, 16 rand 48 against the US dollar, 19 rand 15 against the euro, and 22 rand 13 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $4,533 an ounce, while platinum is at $1,943. Brent crude at $106 a barrel at this moment, quite low compared to yesterday's $112 a barrel. More analysis from Stephen Crotis later this afternoon.
Thank you, Mutero. Coming up in the next half an hour, 2 nights, 1 stage, 50 years of legacy. The rebirth of Ubuntu returns to the Joburg Theatre. We're going to be speaking to the fabulous Zoe Mudika, who is going to be joining us in studio this morning. In the meantime, Sfiso Zulu, to the northwest we go.
That's right, Bongani. Good morning. Police have intensified their search for people responsible for the murder of Northwest activist Tad Mulan. Officers say armed men shot Mulan multiple times in his house in Mahikeng yesterday and fled in a white car. Mulan was known for helping law enforcement officials in the fight against crime and corruption. Tabiso Koba reports.
When the news of Tad Mulan's killing broke, the community of Lumanyaneng gathered around his home in disbelief. His family says this was both overwhelming and heartening to know just how many people cared about him. Family friend Tabang Tikane says Mulan's activism didn't stop at just exposing governance failures in Mahikeng, but he was also a humanitarian who donated both his time and resources to people less fortunate than him.
Donating shoes to schools, food, soup kitchen, assisting the elderly.
Community member Azania Boysons says Mulan will be remembered for his fearless activism. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News, Northwest.
In the Western Cape, the wife of slain top cop Charles Kinnear says it's a massive relief that alleged underworld gang Hafiz Modak's case was closed in the High Court. Modak is on trial along with 14 others for 122 charges, including Kinnear's murder 6 years ago. The court yesterday ruled to close Modak's case after numerous delays and the accuser's failure to secure new witnesses. Carlo Peterson reports.
Nicolette Kinnear, the wife of slain top cop Charles Kinnear, says she's delighted presiding judge Robert Henney decided to close Hafiz Modak's case yesterday. Henney made the ruling after considering submissions from the prosecution and defense on whether or not to close Modak's case. The decision comes after numerous delays and Modak's failure to secure new witnesses for his case to proceed.
Long time overdue. The games that were being played, the delays, the stalling, it has just been making a mockery of our justice system.
Kinnear says it's a relief for her family who have been attending court since an initial attack on her late husband in 2019. The matter is set to proceed with the case of co-accused Ziad Pool on Monday. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
The Labour Department says the employment of undocumented foreign nationals remains a problem in the construction industry. At least 10 people were arrested yesterday when they failed to produce their documents at a site in Cape Town. Deputy Minister Johannesburg B.I.G, along with Home Affairs, Immigration and Law Enforcement officers, conducted an inspection there yesterday. Department spokesperson Deboho Tejane.
Construction industry is one of the problematic sectors, and that is what the department is concentrating on. The employers that are appointing undocumented or illegal workers will obviously face charges through Home Affairs, as Home Affairs is responsible for Migration Acts. Therefore, contravention of Migration Act is a serious crime.
And the ANC has reshuffled its Gauteng leadership and appointed Panyaza Lesufi as the party's provincial convener. Lesufi replaces veteran Amos Masondo. The Provincial Executive Committee was disbanded last year following the party's poor performance in the 2024 elections. The ANC in Gauteng was forced into a coalition government which now includes the EFF to retain power. ANC National Spokesperson Bongani Bingwa.
They have been given marching orders, including going to the ground, interacting with our councillors, multiplying high-impact service delivery initiatives, such as what we are seeing as we are cleaning Johannesburg. And we've urged them to learn from those best lessons.
A cloudy day in store for Gauteng today. The temperatures will peak at highs between 19 and 20 degrees.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N3 North. This is between the Linksfield Road exit and Modderfontein Road. That's due to an accident. There's also an accident scene causing heavy traffic volumes on the N12 West leaving Benoni towards the R21. Please be on the lookout there.
The top story, police have intensified their search for people responsible for the murder of Northwest activist Tad Mulan.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
Adam Morero is currently the mayor. He's going to deliver the State of the City address.
I'm not really sure exactly what is it that he's going to really be presenting when he's actually in contempt of his regional responsibility.
Eskom has issued a notice of intention to reduce, interrupt and or terminate the supply of electricity. How worried are you about that?
More than worried. For me, the mess we are seeing right now is not a surprise to me because Dada Morero decided to put people around himself that he can really control.
The Midday Report.
With Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Catch the Springboks live at Ellis Park this year. Lions fans, it's time to roar. Get ready for a season of pure adrenaline in the heart of Jozi. Secure your inclusive Lions membership starting from just 950 Rand. That's right, less than $1,000. And it unlocks your seat to every Lions home match at the Emirates Airline Park. That includes the one you've been waiting for, the massive clash between the Lions and the All Blacks this August. Don't get left at the gate for the biggest game of the year. Memberships are available right now at Ticket Pro. Own the season, back the pride, and get behind your team, the Lions.
Welcome to Nando's Testimonials.
Real reviews by real people. Today's testimonial comes from Jeff in Kempton Park. Now, Jeff seems to be a man of very few words. We've asked him to use his few words to tell us what he thinks of our flame-grilled peri-peri full chicken with any two sharing sides for $2.83. Jeff?
Nice.
Well, there you have it. When the meal is such a mouthful, you really only need a few words, I guess. Nando's. Oh, what a place.
That's Fani before he got naked. Fani's insurance premium went up for no reason, irritating him more than when the boys ignored the really funny meme he posted in the group chat.
What?
So Fani got naked. He got comprehensive car insurance and a way lower premium in seconds on the Naked app. Go Fani. Get a car and home insurance quote now at naked.insure and see how much you can save when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
Sometimes all it takes to reshape the world and deliver better outcomes is a little unconventional thinking. Black Sheep Thinking, powered by Camissa Asset Management.
In cockpits and control rooms around the world, experienced pilots have faced a different reality. The system says one thing, the world says another. And in those moments, the best don't follow the signal, they question it. And this is lessons from Black Sheep Thinking. Free thinking, but questioning the data. Disasters are avoided when humans erode faulty systems. Training rewritten to prioritize judgment over automation. A new rule emerged to verify, don't just follow. And that's the big thing. And the big lesson from today, when the data and reality disagree, just look up.
Black Sheep Thinking, every Tuesday on 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa, powered by Camissa Asset Management. Invest different. Camissa Asset Management is a licensed FSP on 702.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Good morning, Bongani and team. Listen, I'm as subtle as a bazooka. I've learned no hints, have to be direct. You know, that's it. That's how it works in my household.
and even in life in general.
I actually had a very sad situation. So I employed a young graduate, and he had a skin problem, right? So I think because he didn't have funds, I think somebody must have said to him, use Javela.
Yeah, the problem with halitosis or bad breath is that the person with it doesn't know. You don't know if you've got it. I mean, you can blow into your hand and it smells fine. But yeah, so that's one of the horrible things about it. So yeah, if you're a good friend, rather be honest and tell your mates or whoever, you need to go have a checkup or something. Because, otherwise they just don't know. No idea.
Bongani, this is very easy, eh? Like you just say to the person, "Ooh, I'm feeling a bit bored, man. Why don't we just go and brush our teeth?" Yeah, this is Gugu from Northgate.
Morning. The most common reason these days for people having bad breath, besides dental and gum disease, is a bacteria that lives in the stomach called Helicobacter pylori, which can be easily treated with antibiotics, and the stitch will go away. Thanks. It's Dr. Ricky from Boksburg.
Dr. Ricky from Boksburg, I appreciate that bit of advice. We're talking, of course, and the conversation kind of veered a different direction. As that first voice note suggests, are you as subtle as a bazooka? Do you hint to get the things that you want in your relationship, in your circle of friends? Or do you say it straight up? And one of the examples that came up is, how do you tell somebody who struggles with a bit of bad breath? And the reason isn't always because the people have poor dental health. It could be something significantly more serious, an internal medical issue, the bacteria, as you've just heard there from Dr. Ricky. So perhaps subtlety isn't always what gets the job done, is it?
EWN Sport.
Nothing subtle, Cindy Paluta, about the Europa League champions.
Right, Aston Villa winning it last night. They cruised past Freiburg 3-0 with goals from Tillemans, Bondea and Rogers. That gave the club their first silverware in 30 years, books them a place in the Champions League next season. For manager Unai Emery, it's his 5th Europa League title.
We will play next year Champions League. The best team in the world are there. And of course, he's challenging us a lot. And we are going to enjoy, like we enjoyed this year in Europa League. It's really fantastic to compete in Euro, to compete against another country's teams, and of course with the level they have. And we are so proud of how we are doing, and of course enjoying the process.
The win also means the English Premier League could receive a 6th Champions League spot if Villa finished the league in 5th. The Europa League title would free up an extra Champions League place for the team finishing 6th. That gives Bournemouth and Brighton extra motivation heading into the final league games this Sunday. Southampton tried to appeal their Championship playoff expulsion but failed. They argued the sanction for spying on other teams was disproportionate. It means this Saturday Middlesbrough will play Hull for a place in the Premier League. USA officials confirmed the Democratic Republic of Congo national team will be allowed to travel for the FIFA World Cup. The US has banned non-Americans who've been in the DRC, Uganda and South Sudan in the last 21 days from visiting due to the Ebola outbreak. DR Congo, who opened their campaign against Portugal on June 17, cancelled the scheduled training camp in Kinshasa due to the outbreak. And top tennis players are planning to limit French Open media interviews to just 15 minutes in protest over prize money. The 15 minutes symbolizes the roughly 15% of Grand Slam revenue currently paid to players. Players want a bigger share of earnings, better benefits and more influence over scheduling and tournament decisions. The French Tennis Federation says it regrets the protest but is open to discussions with the players. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
That's Kefense before she got naked. Kefense's premium went up twice last year, and she was more confused than when her ex said, "I need to find myself," and then found somebody else. So Kefense got naked. She got comprehensive car insurance and a way lower premium in seconds on the Naked app. Good for you, Kefense. Get a car and home insurance quote now at naked.insure and see how much you can save when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
When it comes to protecting your workforce, trust the workwear brand that has been protecting workers for over 150 years. Sweetall. Sweetall has overalls and uniform solutions for every industry, so your team is safe, comfortable, and ready to tackle any challenge. Visit our Boksburg showroom, shop A1 Atlas Road, Westwood, Boksburg, or go to sweetor.com today. Sweetor, we never let you down. Superior protective workwear since 1871.
You hear that? That's the sound of business execution finally visible. No more chasing people and reports, no more disconnected systems, no more guessing if our business is performing or not. iStratGo connects strategy, people, performance, and day-to-day work into one clear software platform, so leaders can see what's working, what's not, and where to focus. Because when execution is visible, everything runs better. Book a demo on istratgo.com. ISTRATGO.com. Every week, millions of South Africans do the same thing. They pick numbers, they take a chance, and for a moment, they dream big. Now the National Lottery is entering a new chapter. On Tuesday, 26 May, Clement Manyathela will be in conversation with Sizakaya Holdings, the new operator of the National Lottery. Listen to find out what changes and what you can expect from this new era of the National Lottery. The Clement Manyathela Show, in conversation with Sizakaya Holdings. Next Tuesday on 702. Sizakaya is licensed and regulated. No persons under the age of 18 permitted to play. Play responsibly.
EWN Traffic.
16 minutes before 9. Amo, let's wrap up the morning's traffic.
Well, Bongani, we've got delays on the N3 North. So this is between Modderfontein Road and Marlborough Drive. That's due to an accident after Vincent Chabalala Road. Please be on the lookout there. It's causing about a 15-minute hold-up. If you're traveling along Modderfontein Road, heavier traffic volumes approaching the N3 exit. That's also due to an accident. Traveling on the Maikwaan North, we've got peak time delays between Boyson's Road and Car Street. There's also slow-moving traffic along the M2 West between Heidelberg Road and the Crown Interchange. Please approach with care. More updates coming up at the top of the hour.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
It's another girl.
Yes. Families multiply, fees shouldn't. With Ultimate Banking, you get support for every chapter. Get discounted banking for your spouse and give each of your children a head start with a Mega U account. Because as your family grows, your banking should keep up. Apply online. Your story matters. ABSA. Terms and conditions apply. ABSA is an authorized financial services provider.
Something big is coming. You see, if you are tired of life never giving you a real chance, just know that your chance is coming. We've decided that if life isn't gonna give us bigger and better, then we're gonna give it to ourselves. We're also tired of the ones running this whole thing. Soon there'll be a takeover, a change, a chance. Like we said, something big is coming, and your chance to change your life is finally coming home with Sizekaya. Mzansi, a new chapter begins 1st of June 2026.
Every year, Chamberlain pulls out all the stops. From 21 to 31 May, we present our famous carnival at all 9 branches throughout Gauteng.
Sacrificial pricing on hundreds of products for a limited period only.
30% off paint mixing.
HDH at a ridiculous price.
Heavy discounts on all power tools, the biggest range of all the leading brands. Steco, Inco, Ryobi and Bosch.
And 2-ply toilet paper at just R5 per roll in a pack of 48. Now that's comfort and value rolled into one.
Chamberlain, famous for hardware since 1903.
Coming up
on the Clement Manyathela Show
on 702.
Zoe Mudika, of course, has been in the hot seat all week. Clement Manyathela out for the week. And one of the stories you've been keeping a close eye on is the Fontaine saga. I mean, just give us... Every day, it seems to me, the story twists slightly.
Yes.
First, we were told the prosecutor didn't show up. The investigating officer wasn't there, but in fact, it now turns out the investigating officer was there, but didn't say he was there, even when Sean Abrams was saying he wasn't there.
Yeah.
Make it make sense.
Yeah, it's very odd. It's a very odd situation. So I was asking why the investigating officer did he raise his hand at some point? Did he, because you're right, Sean Abrams did say as he was addressing the court that not only is the prosecutor not in court, the IO was also not there. And that was important because the order that was made had said that the IO must also come to court. So, but now police are saying the investigating officer was present. Police had been there since the early morning. I think the latest, because it just keeps developing and developing, the latest is that the prosecutor is being engaged with and spoken to by the acting director of public prosecutions, and they are trying to ascertain the facts.
But he's still suspended.
Well, what we were told was that
is he not?
He was handed a suspension notice, apparently, and they were going to start the disciplinary process. I don't know if that's still the case. And what I find odd about this is that they're only engaging him after making the decision to suspend him. And I would have imagined you'd want to speak to the prosecutor first and find out where you were, why didn't you come to court?
Is this also because this is, of course, to do with the Joe Ferrari Sibanyoni case, and because it's received so much attention, and because of the prominence of the accused, such as he was at the time, a case like that being struck off the roll because the prosecutor didn't show up, that's likely to get some attention.
Yeah, I think that the NPA may have jumped the gun a bit, Bongani. I think they should have found out first what was happening. And it also sounded to me during the earlier interviews in the week that they didn't know much about what happened in court on Friday, because that's material. The fact that the prosecutor told the magistrate that he's not going to be able to come on Friday, and there was a bit of a clash there and friction, I think the magistrate used the words, "I don't want to push this down your throat, but if I have to, I will." All of that is very important. But it sounded to me that the NPA wasn't aware of this from what happened on Friday. And then they were trying to gather the facts, but also it seemed to me that they were trying to salvage the situation, correct what had happened, and that's when they made the decision to suspend and to start disciplinary hearings.
A tragedy of errors, because ultimately, though, the accused person is no longer an accused person.
Yeah, for now.
Gosh, what's on the show?
So lots coming on the show. You may remember that a call was made by the ANC for people to nominate candidates. These are people that may be non-members, to nominate those candidates to be mayoral candidates, right, for the ANC. And we're going to be speaking to Bongani Bingwa because the deadline closes tomorrow. Whether they have received nominations from people.
Can I nominate Zoe Mudika?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. They also said that you may volunteer. So do you want to volunteer?
No, thank you very much.
So those nominations close tomorrow. And I think I'm also going to ask the listeners whether they had nominated anyone. Would they nominate someone? And if so, who? So we're going to have that conversation in just a bit. And then in the second hour of the show, it is our dialogue time. We're going to be talking about that Constitutional Court battle. It's a battle that's headed to the Constitutional Court brought by the former presidents Thabo Mbeki and Jacob Zuma. That's around the recusal of Justice Sisi Khampembe in the TRC Commission. We'll be having an analyst to weigh in on that. And then I'm looking forward to our dialogue today. We speak to entrepreneur and founder Tebogo Khas. He's started that organization around entrepreneurs, the Chartered Entrepreneurs Institute. And I'm really excited about that. He is a Soweto-born entrepreneur and he's doing absolutely amazing work in that space. So that's the show.
All right, Zoe Mudika asking me if I'd volunteer to be a mayor of Johannesburg. I'm too much of a dodo. Zoe, I wouldn't last.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
The Midday Report at its heart is a current affairs show, but it really is a show about everything you need to know about and everything you didn't know you needed to know about. Our listener is sharp, plugged in, curious, has developed opinions, but is still open to learning new things. My favorite part is how witty, sharp, and funny our listener is. What we cover every day is breaking news, current affairs, politics, the courts, global developments, science, education, popular culture, sports, books, and of course, good things too. I like to think of it as a lunchbox with a little bit of everything. What I love about 702 Land is that it is full of energy. There's always something happening, a developing story to follow. But it's not parochial. The 702 family cares about what is happening in the world around them and how we plug into that.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener. Weekdays from 12 to 1 p.m.
Are you ready to let go of your ride? WeBuyCars makes it easy and even an enjoyable way to part with your vehicle. Simply complete their form on webuycars.co.za and they'll handle the rest. Looking to upgrade your car with over 12,000 vehicles for sale? You're certainly spoilt for choice. Visit webuycars.co.za today.
That's Liesel before she got naked. Liesel checked her insurance premium and got angrier than the time a teenager called her Tani. So Liesel got naked and got comprehensive car insurance and a way lower premium in seconds, all on the Naked app. There we go, Liesel. Get a car and home insurance quote now at naked.insure and see how much you can save when you get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
Just Andalex it.
Do you have a sore throat? Andalex C Oral Rinse and Spray provides targeted relief from 1 minute that lasts up to 4 hours. It reduces pain and inflammation while numbing the affected areas. It also kills viruses and bacteria that cause sore throats to help prevent serious throat infections. Andalex, South Africa's #1 choice for sore mouth and throats. For more information, speak to your healthcare professional.
Just Andalex it.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
I am them with plenty. I am them with much. I am them with many. Them called such and such.
The sultry tones there of Zoe Mudika, singer, songwriter. New material, but perhaps to go into the past. Let's talk about 2 nights, 1 stage, 50 years of legacy, the rebirth of Ubuntu, returning to the Joburg Theatre on the 29th and 30th of May this weekend, a celebration of South African culture, music, and the power of youth. And it's curated by the artist Billy Munama. And this year's theme is 50 years of youth legacy. It's about now and then, honoring the past, igniting the future through music, through storytelling. Artists working today, honoring those from the past, even some who are dearly departed. Lira will step into the voice of Miriam Makeba. Zoe Mudika will channel Umamobusi Mhlongo. Tutupwane, of course, being Sibongile Khumalo. Vusinova will be Lucky Dube. And Billy Munama will pay homage to guitar master Alan Kwela and this year's honoree, the legendary Jimmy Lulu. In studio, we're joined now by Zoe Mudika. And I just made this comment before we started our formal conversation, Zoe. I can see you channeling Busi Mhlongo, not only because of your vocal mastery, but there's always a spiritual element to your performances. And that's exactly why I think this is going to be such a perfect fit. Why was it attractive for you?
Oh, man. Firstly, good morning to all the listeners and good morning to you here in studio. It's beautiful to be back. And you say it right when you say channel. I feel like the only way to tribute Umambusi Mhlongo is to channel. It's to conjure something inside of you. It's to go to that far-reaching place, that tucked-away place, to be able to bring her alive and to tribute her in a way that only she can be tributed. You know,
Yeah.
She's a cultural custodian. She would sing songs that remind us, songs that reflect the times. She really was a one of one and a very dynamic woman. And to be able to get into those shoes in some kind of way, it's just something that was beautiful and attractive to me. And of course, you know, she was from KZN as well, as am I. And she was known as a jazz singer, Victoria, formerly, even before the Mambusi Mhlongo legacy that she left behind. She was expansive, you know, melting pot of different genres, from your rock to your indigenous sounds, African sounds, jazz sounds. So I really just find, you know, a lot of myself.
The thing about your particular art form is how it continues to live long after the original artist may have left us. The storytelling, the cultural connections that your work brings. How difficult is it to retain a sense of Zoe Mudika and at the same time channeling this legend who means so much to so many people in so many different ways.
She really does mean a lot to a lot of people in a lot of different ways. And I'm one of the people that she means a lot to. And that's all
What
I'm
does she
here
mean to
to
you?
do. To me, she means someone who was able to be a feminine voice in a very patriarchal genre, Maskandi. She was able to champion that and still be inventive within that space. So she really just defines what a feminine voice in music and in art and storytelling can look like, especially in a time, where she was one of those voices that were championed post-apartheid, and then she really made us look like rock stars wearing our traditional regalia. It wasn't just this performative thing that we do once a year where we wear who we are, but she embodied that. She was the embodiment of who it is that we are. So, I mean, I come alive at the thought of legacy, Mhlongo, for sure.
You, and it's hard to say this to your face, but I'm going to say it because I believe it is true. I can't think of a more electrifying live performer on our music scene at the moment than Zoe Mudika. How challenging is it to live up to the expectations you create with each project you get involved with and the creative choices that pressure must surely bring?
Oh, firstly, thank you. That means more than, I'm probably going to think about that long after this conversation.
It is absolutely true. Every time I have seen you, it's hard to pick up my jaw from the floor.
Sure. And perhaps the conversation extends beyond me. I'm very well aware that I'm a gifted person, but also that I'm a hardworking person and I want to die to what it is that I do. And what I mean is that if I'm going to be on a stage, if I'm going to sing a song, I need to feel like I'm doing it for the last time. And then it's also just the realization that I don't walk as one. When I'm on stage, I'm not the only one who's there. I think we all walk with our angels, but it's the expression of just me, but it's the expression of not just me, but the expression of the 10,000 that walk with me. So they get to play. They get to play.
Tell you what,
and make me look good.
I know you will be there, certainly, but Umamubusi Mhlongo will certainly be there. I said it's this weekend. It's next weekend,
yes.
The 29th and the 30th of May at the Joburg Theatre, a rebirth of Ubuntu concert at Joburg. And of course, one of the stars is going to be the absolutely amazing Zoe Mudika. As far as performances go, she is absolutely peerless. It will be a waste if you don't get yourself a ticket.
702 podcasts are on 702.co.za.
And the Clement Manyatela Show starts now.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulum. Mati Pandile Soteni's bail application will continue in the Brakpan Magistrates Court today. Soteni is accused of killing Marius van der Merwe, who gave evidence about a Lady Matlanga commission last year. Van der Merwe was shot dead in December. Dimakazali Shiro reports.
During day one of his bail application,